Pokémon, I became a Pikachu. Welcome back, brave explorers of impossible worlds. We are excited to have you here to continue this odyssey together. Before we continue, everything you'll hear is pure fiction, so please don't try to replicate combat techniques at home. This wonderful story in all its rights belong to its brilliant original author. We are only the messengers of entertainment. Want another dose of adventure? Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single chapter, and if you can't wait, our Patreon has exclusive surprises you'll love. Chapter 201 Lots of Pikachu. Pikachu Pikachu, Pikachu Pikachu, Pikachu Pikachu. At this moment, Mu Chen's head was spinning. Holy crap! Could it be that the continuous attacks the system mentioned were these toys? At this moment, Ash and Misty arrived at a flat mountain hollow. And in this mountain hollow, there were a large number of yellow-skinned mice living. Pikachu looked at the kindred spirits surrounding Ash and Misty with curious expressions, and Mu Chen was filled with helplessness. These idiots, aren't you afraid of humans? What the hell are you doing gathering around? Pikachu, look, you have so many of your kind. What, aren't you going to go play with them? At this moment, Ash and Misty were in a resting phase, and seeing so many Pikachus gathering around them was naturally a very novel thing for them. Pikachu, play? Play my ass. Hearing Misty's teasing, Mu Chen's helplessness intensified again. Damn it, I'm not even in the same league as these idiots, okay? What's going on? Just as Mu Chen was complaining in his heart, he suddenly found himself airborne. Alright, Pikachu, I know you must want to play with these other creatures, you guys go play. Because Pikachu was in his arms, Aksha didn't see his expression, which led her to assume that the creature in her arms must want to get closer to its other creatures. Pika, oh my god. No way. Before Mu Chen could make any resistance, Aksha's hands had already let go. Splash, without any surprise, Mu Chen fell into the encirclement of the Pikachu army. Ha ha ha. Aksha, look how popular Pikachu is. Looking at the guy surrounded by a group of Pikachu sniffing him, Zhi also laughed. Pika, these wild Pikachu showed enough curiosity about this other creature, but Mu Chen was not like that. Damn it. System, are you messing with me? How am I supposed to defend myself against this relentless onslaught? Constantly being nudged and bumped by his kind, Mu Chen was on the verge of exploding. Especially after several seemingly female Pikachu started licking his cheeks, he finally snapped. Pikachu, damn it. Are you trying to make me electrocute you all? Pikachu are cute, but they definitely don't meet Mu Chen's criteria for a mate. At this moment, Mu Chen's biggest fear was that these creatures might have some bad intentions towards him. Therefore, Mu Chen decided to explode. Whatever, I'll just electrocute you all to save myself the trouble. But unexpectedly, just as electricity crackled on Mu Chen's cheeks, and he was about to unleash his 100,000 volts, a deafening roar suddenly came from afar. Roar, attracted by the sound, not only Mu Chen, but even the Pikachu around him abandoned their interest in him and turned to look at the sky. Ha ha ha. Kid, get ready to face your punishment, you wretched yellow-skinned rat. Let's see where you can run this time. Team Rocket is here. Meow. Strange, why are there so many yellow-skinned rats down there? Am I seeing things? Meow. The newcomers were none other than Jesse, James, and Meowth, the Team Rocket trio. Having received their boss Giovanni's reward, these three guys decisively transformed their bicycles into motorcycles, riding Charizard menacingly towards Ash and the others. With Charizard's terrifying flying speed, the trio successfully caught up with Ash in less than a day. However, the situation that appeared before them was clearly not in the trio's plan. It really is, so many Pikachu? If we catch them all, won't the boss be ecstatic? Meowth's eyesight was relatively better than Jesse's. As Charizard closed in, Jesse and Kajiro saw the large number of Pikachu below. They only knew that Giovanni needed Pikachu, but they didn't know that their boss wanted just one unique creature. Now, seeing the swarm of Pikachu below, the two, having received their reward, showed no fear, clearly intending to wipe them all out. Damn it. It's Team Rocket. Similarly, after Jesse and the others spotted their target, Ash below also spotted the three arrogant figures on Charizard's back. Pikachu, what the hell? The continuous attacks refer to these guys? How did they level up so quickly? They already have Charizard? Mu Chen had initially thought this mission referred to these silly Pikachu, but now it seemed that wasn't the case. Having spotted the enemy, Mu Chen didn't hesitate. HMPH. I've just finished charging up, let's just unleash a thunderbolt on you. Although Mu Chen had already mastered the thunder move, he also discovered its flaws during testing. While incredibly powerful, it was better suited for group battles. In one-on-one combat, unless it was a matter of life and death, thunder couldn't be used lightly. The skill was still too taxing for him at this moment. Facing his defeated Team Rocket trio, Mu Chen certainly wouldn't use his ultimate weapon. One thunderbolt was enough to finish them off. Zzz, sparks of electricity leaped up. But just as Mu Chen was about to use thunderbolt to attack, he was stunned. Pikachu, Pikachu, Pikachu. Seeing Mu Chen assume a fighting stance, the Pikachu surrounding him cried out. Countless sparks of electricity leaped up simultaneously. Although these silly creatures' electricity was far less than Mu Chen's, there were simply too many of them. Dozens of Pikachu simultaneously went into battle mode, leaving not only Mu Chen stunned. Damn it! Jesse, run, the wind's picking up, retreat. Seeing this astonishing display below, Team Rocket was dumbfounded. They couldn't even withstand one Pikachu's thunderbolt. Imagine the devastation of dozens attacking at once. Even with Charizard, the trio lacked the courage to withstand a volley of Pikachu attacks. However, the three fleeing Pikachu were unaware that, apart from Mu Chen, the other Pikachu were merely electric shock users, only there to intimidate. Chapter 202 Kirlia's Jealousy. Pika, Pika Pika, Pika Pika. Without even lifting a finger, the wild Pikachu scared away the dragon from the sky, letting out joyful cries. Ha ha ha. Pikachu, you've got a bunch of great helpers this time. Ash was equally excited to see Team Rocket scared away. Earlier, when he saw the Team Rocket trio riding Charizard charging in, Ash had already prepared for a big battle. But unexpectedly, as soon as Kirlia was summoned, Team Rocket was scared away by a group of Pikachu. Ash, look how popular Pikachu is. As the main general who scared away the enemy, Mu Chen's importance in the hearts of these wild Pikachu increased even more. Seeing Mu Chen surrounded by a group of Pikachu, and even several Pikachu that looked like females frantically showing their affection, Misty made her teasing remarks. However, Misty didn't even realize that her tone was slightly sour when she made the teasing remarks. Pikachu, damn it. Help. Although Mu Chen was quite satisfied with scaring Team Rocket away without lifting a finger, he couldn't accept the current situation. What the hell are these brainless yellow rats doing surrounding me? And you bunch of idiots, stop licking me. Licking my face is one thing. But why are you licking my lower body? What if you get me all worked up? Unfortunately, there were too many Pikachu around, and even with Mu Chen's desperate struggle, he couldn't find a single opening to use quick attack to escape. Rilakkuma. Just as Mu Chen was resigned to his fate and began silently chanting "Don't panic if the sky falls" to ensure he wouldn't embarrass himself in front of Misty, a furious cry suddenly rang out. This was Kirlia, whom Ash had summoned earlier. Originally, this proud little creature was indifferent to Mu Chen encountering their kind, but when she saw Mu Chen being repeatedly violated by those seemingly female creatures, this proud little creature became enraged. Seriously? This is the male that pushed me down. How can I tolerate you guys violating it? Even if it is violating, I, the young lady, will do it myself, okay? Enraged, Kirlia ignored Ash beside her and teleported to the center of the Pikachu army. Immediately, bursts of psychic energy shot out from above her head, striking the Pikachu army below. Pika, Pika Pika, the sudden psychic attack startled the Pikachu army. Aren't these friends? Why are they suddenly attacking? Riri, the Pikachu army was confused, but Kirlia wasn't. At this moment, the little guy's heart was already filled with the flames of jealousy. After the first psychic attack, Kirlia immediately launched a second round of psychic attacks. In fact, with her continuous use of psychic attacks, her skills subtly changed. Kirlia's psychic abilities were no longer primarily for control, instead, they coalesce into rings of light, unleashing a powerful attack on the Pikachu army. Clearly, driven by the flames of jealousy, Kirlia had mastered a new skill, Psychic Beam. Pika, Pika Pika, these wild, clumsy Pikachu were truly pathetic in terms of actual combat strength. Their survival was solely due to their secluded habitat in large populations. Their interest in Mu Chen stemmed from sensing the immense electric energy within this kind, following the strong is instinctive for any species. And Mu Chen was the strong one in their eyes. This was why they constantly courted him, with several females even expressing interest in mating with him. After all, the offspring of a strong individual possessed a bloodline far superior to that of an ordinary Pikachu, didn't they? Unfortunately, the Mu Chen they encountered wasn't a real Pikachu. And unfortunately, when they met Mu Chen, there happened to be a proud and jealous Kirlia by his side. To Kirlia, while Pikachu was indeed despicable, she absolutely wouldn't allow these wretched yellow-skinned mice to lay a finger on it. Even if it was about disciplining it or anything else, it would be Kirlia herself who handled it. You wretched yellow-skinned mice, get out of my way. Kirlia. No, seeing Kirlia suddenly attack the Pikachu, Ash was stunned. By the time he reacted, it was too late. The Pikachu army had already scattered and fled. Faced with such a terrifying being, the Pikachu army, which only knew electric shock, simply didn't have the courage to fight back. They had only dared to attack Charizard before because Mu Chen had led the way. But now? Mu Chen had already seized the opportunity and darted far away. Seeing that this powerful Pikachu showed no interest in them, and with such a terrifying Kirlia present, why would these Pikachu linger? Pika Pika, finally safe, Mu Chen wiped the sweat from his forehead with his little hands. Damn, that was terrifying. But why did that little Kirlia suddenly attack? Could it be that I've already subdued her? Suddenly, Mu Chen remembered that on the night he disciplined her, this little brat didn't offer much resistance at all. Holy crap! If I had known it was this easy to make her obey, I would have done it already. After a quick mental calculation, Mu Chen became increasingly certain of his guess. No way. Tonight, I have to try again, no matter what, to see if this little brat really falls for it. Damn it! How can there be so many Pikachu? Yeah, Kajiro, you said you were going to capture them all. That's terrifying, meow. I didn't expect so many Pikachu attacking at the same time to be so scary. Just as Mu Chen was planning to find an opportunity to test Kirlia, in a ravine not far from Ash and the others, the Team Rocket trio were frustrated. They thought that with Charizard, a father-level creature, taking down that Pikachu would be a piece of cake. Who would have thought that while their quality increased, the number of Pikachu on the other side increased? This is terrifying. Dozens of Pikachu posing for an attack at once. No way. Let's try again. I don't believe those wild Pikachu will keep following that brat. Jessie couldn't accept this defeat. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 203 Team Rocket Strikes Again. Ash, where do those wild Pikachu live? Will they come back? Misty was deeply concerned about the wild Pikachu that Kirlia had defeated. As the saying goes, love me, love my dog. Because of Mu Chen, Misty also had a fondness for these goofy Pokémon. Of course, this was assuming they didn't bother Mu Chen. I guess they won't appear again, right? I read in the Pokédex that Pikachu are very timid. But why did Kirlia attack them? Unlike Misty, Ash was still wondering why Kirlia attacked them. Was it because these little guys scared Team Rocket, preventing Kirlia from using its full potential? That seemed to be the reason. Regardless, Ash was very happy that Kirlia had learned a powerful offensive move. With this move, Kirlia's combatability would greatly increase, giving it more options when facing various enemies in the future. Pikachu, as the person involved, Mu Chen understood Xiao-Zhi's question. However, knowing it was true, Mu Chen was determined not to tell Xiao-Zhi the reason. This idiot, if he knew, would he still be able to work? Just thinking about how Xiao-Zhi, that big mouth, would definitely tell Professor Oak. Then, wouldn't he become a research subject? Reworking himself? HMPH, let whoever wants to go ahead. I'm definitely not going. Roar, just as Xiao-Zhi and his group were on their way with their own questions, a deafening roar came from the sky again. This was, of course, Team Rocket, who dared not fail. Having finally obtained a powerful Pokémon, how could they be scared away without even fighting once? How could they live up to Boss Giovanni's favor? Ha ha ha, brats, prepare for your punishment. Team Rocket is back. On Charizard's back, Jessie noticed from afar that the wild Pikachu were no longer around Xiao-Zhi. With Pikachu's army gone, Jessie's courage naturally swelled. HMPH. How could a mere Pikachu possibly defeat the Charizard and Tyranitar gift from Boss Giovanni, Damn it. It's Team Rocket again. They're really persistent. Seeing Team Rocket attack, Ash and Misty put aside their doubts. These wretched guys, are they never going to stop? Pika Pika, come on. Come on. A continuous attack, is it? After that last time, plus this time, will my mission be complete? Seeing the Team Rocket trio attack, Mu Chen was not afraid at all. These guys are just free experience points for me. Even if they have a Charizard, so what? They're still trash. ZZZZZ, electricity flashed, and Mu Chen immediately entered charging mode before the battle even began. Kajero, Pikachu is yours. I'll handle these two brats. As Charizard landed, Jessie immediately assigned the battle. Kajero's Pokémon was Rhyperior, a ground rock type, which was extremely effective against Pikachu. Conversely, while Charizard was incredibly powerful, it lacked a dragon type. Its fire flying type would actually put it at a disadvantage against Pikachu. Although Jessie and Kajero weren't particularly strong, they understood these basic principles. Come out, Rhyperior, let your enemies experience what true power is. Hearing Jessie's instruction, Kajero didn't hesitate, tossing out a terrifying monster about 2 meters tall, entirely silver gray with a large, sharp horn on its nose. Whoa! Upon its appearance, Rhyperior excitedly thumped its chest, displaying its fierce fighting spirit. Ha ha ha. Very good, that's it. Rhyperior, use Body Slam to take down this yellow-skinned rat. After obtaining these two powerful Pokémon, Jessie and Kajero did a simple test. At the very least, they needed to figure out what moves they knew, right? Otherwise, if they couldn't even tell Pikachu what moves to use during a battle, wouldn't that be a joke? Whoa! Upon receiving Kajero's command, Rhyperior immediately activated, pouncing fiercely on the ready Pikachu. That's it, we can't fall behind. Charizard, use Flamethrower to burn these two brats to death. With Kajero taking action, how could Jessie, as the leader, fall behind? With a flick of her long red hair, Jessie also gave Charizard the attack command. Mildano, come out. Use Water Pulse. Charizard is a powerful fire-type Pokémon, so Ash naturally chose to use the water-type Pokémon, Melodic, to battle it. Eno, a long cry rang out as Melodic retaliated with a Water Pulse attack against the oncoming flames. Boom, a violent explosion rang out at the point of impact. Charizard's Flamethrower was clearly more powerful than Melodic's Water Pulse. However, due to type advantage, all it could do was negate Melodic's attack. Charizard, keep using Flamethrower. With one Flamethrower negated, Jessie remained unfazed. This is my Charizard. Keep going, and I'll eventually wear you down, you big water snake. Clearly, Jessie didn't understand Melodic's incredible stamina. Little girl, your opponent is me. Meow. With Jessie and James engaged in battle, Meowth wasn't going to be idle either. Seeing Misty trying to summon a Pokémon to help Ash, Meowth brandished its sharp claws and charged at Misty. HMPH. Don't underestimate me. Come out, Psyduck, Amir Meowth. Misty wasn't afraid. However, every time she tried to summon Starmie, this silly duck usually appeared instead. Cool, right, summoned. Psyduck, still waiting for Misty's command, clutched its head, looking at the helpless Misty with a puzzled expression. What's going on? Should I grab it? Or should I just give you a command? Oops. Psyduck, use Psychic. Psychic, seeing the silly duck's innocent expression, Misty was completely speechless. Whatever, Psyduck it is, it can handle Meowth. Chapter 204 Three-Way Battle. Pikachu, just as Ash and Misty entered battle mode, Mu Chen also clashed with a charging Rhyperior. Facing this armored behemoth, Mu Chen felt helpless. Damn it, can't you give me a different opponent? This bastard, it's not afraid of electricity. As a ground-type Rhyperior, it's naturally immune to electric-type moves. This meant that Mu Chen's previous charge-up was completely a waste of time. At this moment, the behemoth had already charged in front of Mu Chen, and Mu Chen had no choice but to activate high-speed shift to dodge. Damn it, although Body Slam is a normal-type move, it attacks the opponent with its own weight. Looking at the Rhyperior, which looked like a small mountain when it ran, Mu Chen absolutely dared not let it crush him. Ha ha ha. Little mouse, are you scared now? Run. Run as fast as you can. Rhyperior, keep attacking, use Rampage. Finding that Mount Tai was ineffective against the agile Pikachu, Kajero changed his tactics with Rhyperior. While Rampage couldn't be stopped once used, Its dash speed was much faster than before. Even if Pikachu could run, it definitely couldn't escape Rhyperior's pursuit. Although Rhyperior wasn't a Pokemon Kajiro had bred, it had received orders from its master, Giovanni, before setting off, so it obeyed Kajiro's commands without hesitation. Upon receiving Kajiro's command, Rhyperior instantly activated. This time, it transformed into a heavy tank, like a bulldozer, charging towards the fleeing Pikachu. Pika, damn it. Is this never going to end? The type advantage left Mu Chen feeling helpless, but he couldn't accept this relentless pursuit. Damn it, do they really think I'm completely helpless? Dodging the Ironhide Rhyperior's charge again, Mu Chen decisively activated Quick Attack. A golden figure flashed like lightning, instantly appearing behind the Ironhide Rhyperior. Before the giant could turn around, Mu Chen lit up his tail. At this moment, his tail shimmered with a metallic sheen. Pikachu, take this Iron Tail. Iron Tail is a Steel-type move, and it can definitely deal massive damage to the Ironhide Rhyperior. Bang! The enraged strike lashed out. "Ew, Pikachu!" Two cries of pain rang out almost simultaneously. It wasn't surprising that the Ironhide Rhyperior cried out in pain after being struck by the type-advantageous Iron Tail. As for Mu Chen? Holy crap! That hurts so much? Damn it, how come you're even harder than that rock golem? Mu Chen had once used Iron Tail to strike Golem, and the immense recoil was unbearable. Now, striking this ironclad Tyrannosaurus, although Mu Chen had mentally prepared himself, he still found that this thing truly lived up to its name, being harder than that rock golem. Ha ha ha. Little mouse, don't fight back. Seeing Pikachu cry out in pain after being struck by Iron Tail, Kajiro let out a triumphant laugh. Countless times before, they had always been the ones who suffered and were beaten by this guy. Today, they could finally turn the tables. Charizard, Flamethrower. Keep flamethrowing. On the other side, the battle between Jessie and Ash continued. Because of her unwavering faith in Charizard's power, Jessie didn't even bother to change her tactics. Flamethrower. Flamethrower. I'll blast you to death. This was Jessie's inner monologue at that moment. According to Jessie's calculations, Melodic wouldn't last long, and when it gave out, Charizard would unleash its full power. Melodic. Keep using Water Pulse. Confident Jessie faced off against the stubborn Ash. Faced with Charizard's aggressive attack, Ash didn't even consider other options. It was just a battle of moves, right? Charizard was its ultimate evolution, and so was Melodic. Having the advantage of type advantage, Ash absolutely didn't believe Melodic would lose to Charizard. Roar, I know. Under the command of the two stubborn trainers, the two powerful Pokémon could only display their stubbornness. In the sky, flames and water clashed repeatedly, and the booming sounds of explosions echoed continuously. However, neither could gain the upper hand. Clearly, this was a contest of internal strength and endurance. Meow. You stupid duck, take this crazy slash. Meow. Unlike the intense battle on Ash's side, or the perilous battle on Pikachu's side, the battle between Misty and Meowth was relatively uneventful. However, this uneventfulness was only temporary. Upon seeing the stupid duck summoned by Misty, Meowth had already made its judgment on the outcome of the battle. How could Meowth possibly lose to a stupid duck? With its confidence greatly boosted, Meowth certainly wouldn't wait for Psyduck to attack. Its sharp front claws lit up, and Meowth pounced on Psyduck with overwhelming momentum. As for Psyduck, although Misty had ordered it to use Psychic, the guy tilted its head and decisively indicated that it had forgotten how to use Psychic. Cool, right? While still struggling to figure out how to use Psychic, Meowth's attack had already arrived. Caught completely off guard, Psyduck was immediately scratched all over its face. A sharp pain shot through Psyduck, and it could no longer think about how to use its psychic powers. At that moment, the silly duck just ran around aimlessly, clutching its head. Ouch! Psyduck, use your psychic powers to fight back. Or even a tickling attack, you have to fight back. Misty was exasperated by Psyduck's behavior. Could this guy be any dumber? Haha. Now you've experienced the power of your Meowth grandpa, haven't you? Stupid duck, don't run, or you'll get another bite from your Meowth grandpa. Meow. Psyduck darted around frantically, and Meowth's frantic scratching was ineffective. But that didn't matter. Facing such a weak opponent, Meowth had 1,000 ways to win. As it spoke, Meowth lunged forward, grabbing Psyduck and baring its sharp teeth, delivering a vicious bite to Psyduck's round head. Cool, Right, this time, Psychic screams became even more intense. Chapter 205, Victory and defeat are decided one after another. Pikachu, Pikachu, damn it. This won't do, I have to think of something. Ash and Jessie were having a head-on collision, while Psychic was being brutally beaten, but Mu Chen was naturally unaware of this. Facing the immense pressure from Tyranitar, Mu Chen was really going all out with his Parker. However, he knew that running like this would inevitably lead to trouble sooner or later. This Tyranitar was too damn ferocious. No matter whether Mu Chen ran behind a rock or a big tree, this bastard would just brute force his way in. This guy was really wasting his talent if he didn't become a demolition crew. Ha ha ha. Well done, Tyranitar, keep charging, this little thing is about to give up. At this moment, Kajiro, who was commanding Tyranitar in battle, finally understood what a man's fighting style was like. So exhilarating, so ferocious, this was a man's fighting style. In fact, Kajiro had already made a decision in his heart. After capturing Pikachu, the reward he asked for from his boss was to get back the Rhyperior that had been temporarily lent to him. Kajiro discovered that he and this big guy were really compatible. Pika Pika, damn it, I'll risk it all. After narrowly dodging Rhyperior's charge once again, Mu Chen finally flew into a rage. Damn it, do you really think I can't do anything to you? You're tough as nails, I'll see if your head is just as tough. Making a decision in his mind, Mu Chen didn't hesitate. Taking advantage of the moment when he sidestepped, Mu Chen decisively activated Quick Attack. Whoa, just as Happy was charging forward, a golden, unidentified object was suddenly smeared on its face. Rhyperior was terrified. Damn it. What is this thing? Pikachu, before Rhyperior could react, Mu Chen launched a thunderous attack. Damn it, this time I'll slap your eye. Let's see if you can stand up to it again. With the Iron Tail move activated, Mu Chen delivered a powerful slap to Rhyperior's massive eye. Bang! Ooh, this time, Rhyperior didn't just let out a slight cry of pain like before. Its eyeball was slapped, and although it didn't explode, the pain was unbearable. The intense pain naturally stopped Rhyperior's rampage. It frantically thrashed its head, as if that could alleviate the pain. Ah! Damn it! Rhyperior, hold on. Let's use Iron Tail to retaliate. They had initially gained the upper hand, but the situation suddenly changed. In his anxiety, Kajiro even forgot that Pikachu was still on Rhyperior's head. Ooh, in pain, Rhyperior instinctively obeyed its trainer's command. Iron Tail, huh? No, I'm not afraid of Puffy. As for the retaliatory position, the enemy is currently on its head, so of course, it'll be a hard slap on the head. Bang! The Ironhide Rhyperior's tail is long enough, so it actually hit its head. However, this thing only hit its own head. Mu Chen had already said goodbye to it with a flash of lightning. Already in intense pain, this Iron Tail attack was the Ironhide Rhyperior's full force attack. With one strike, the Ironhide Rhyperior didn't even let out a roar before it simply collapsed to the ground, announcing that it was going to receive its lunchbox in this battle. Pikachu, Pikachu, ruthless. You're the ruthless emperor. Looking at the self-mutilating Ironhide Rhyperior, Mu Chen curled his lips. That Finch was ruthless enough back then, but you're even more ruthless than it. But, buddy, your head is really hard, it didn't even burst after that. You're definitely a trained fighter. Charizard. Continue using Flamethrower. On the other side, the duel between Jessie and Ash continued. After a prolonged clash of powerful moves, Charizard's momentum was far from what it had been. However, the trainer was stubborn, and Charizard, trained by Giovanni, dared not retaliate. Roar! A weak roar escaped as Charizard unleashed a flamethrower at Melodic, barely more powerful than a flame. Melodic. We can't lose. Keep using Water Pulse. When it comes to sheer stubbornness, Ash was second to none. In battles like this, Ash had never been afraid of anyone. However, Melodic had also reached its limit. Although this old woman had honed her stamina to an extremely high level through constant battles with Mu Chen, and although she had a type advantage over Charizard, Charizard's level was far higher than Melodic's. Furthermore, Flamethrower was significantly more powerful than Water Pulse. Ultimately, unable to gain the upper hand, Melodic finally exhausted itself. Facing the oncoming flames and Ash's command to continue the exchange, Melodic gave a helpless, wry smile. Water Pulse? I don't have any. I know, unable to use Water Pulse, Melodic had no choice but to take the flame attack head-on. However, after enduring it, Melodic realized that it didn't even need to exchange blows. This was completely painless, like nothing at all. Melodic, charge. Use bind, Ash, 2, finally realized the problem. Seeing that Melodic couldn't use any more moves, Ash decisively chose melee combat. I know, this time, Melodic's cry became cheerful. Melee combat? I'm good at this. Ah. It's charging. Charizard, use flamethrower again. However, this time Jessie showed even more stubbornness than Ash. Of course, this was also because Jessie had never used such a powerful Pokémon before. She was too superstitious about flamethrower. Roar. Unfortunately, this time Charizard didn't even manage to breathe fire. It merely exhaled a puff of black smoke before being firmly trapped by the charging Melodic, letting out a painful roar. Cool, right? Just as the other two battlefields were coming to a close, the battle between Psyduck and Meowth was also nearing its end. A sharp pain struck, and it was that perennial headache-inducing brain of Psyduck's. This time, Psyduck finally remembered how to use Psychic. With a cry, a powerful wave of psychic energy erupted from its head. At this moment, Meowth was on top of Psyduck's head, biting it hard. Meowth took a full hit of this psychic attack. Meow. It hurts. Help. Meow. Having taken a severe psychic hit, Meowth suddenly realized that it seemed that fighting this silly duck shouldn't involve attacking its head. Chapter 206 Curly's Hidden Personality. Damn brats. Just you wait. We'll be back. With that overused line, Team Rocket vanished from Mu Chen's sight once more. Or rather, they vanished from his hearing. Their fighting prowess doesn't excuse their retreat. When it comes to escaping, the Rocket Trio are masters. Realizing the unfavorable situation, James decisively summoned Wheezing Black Mist, ready to explode. Inside the Black Mist, Mu Chen was once again blind. Taking advantage of this, the Rocket Trio quickly fled the scene. Pikachu, Mu Chen wasn't particularly bothered by Team Rocket's escape. Even if they had legendary Pokémon, these three would be nothing special. At this moment, Mu Chen was most concerned about the system mission. Damn it! They'd already repelled Team Rocket's attacks twice. Why hadn't the mission been completed ahead of schedule? Did these three dare to come back? Mu Chen thought that after this defeat, these three wouldn't dare to bother him again anytime soon. However, the system mission wasn't finished yet, so Mu Chen could only remain vigilant. That night, after Ash and Misty had fallen into deep sleep, a sly yellow mouse once again approached Ash. This night, Mu Chen didn't intend to bother Melodic. She'd already reached her limit in the daytime battle, and to continue bothering her while she was exhausted was risky. Mu Chen couldn't guarantee she wouldn't become enraged. Moreover, because of the system mission, Mu Chen was currently more focused on Curlia, the proud little girl. The system had already given a hint that Curlia was about to evolve. Mu Chen knew that once this mission was completed, Curlia would likely evolve. That's why Mu Chen was seizing every opportunity to bond with this little thing. She hadn't even evolved yet, and she'd already learned the powerful move Psychic. Who knew what else she'd learn after evolving? Considering the difficulty of defeating this little girl after she evolves into Gardevoir, Mu Chen naturally wanted to build a stronger bond with her before then. However, Curlia completely failed to appreciate Mu Chen's good intentions. Rilakkuma. As soon as Mu Chen summoned her, Curlia nervously assumed a battle stance. Again? The first time you summoned me in the middle of the night, then pounced on me without a word. The second time was even worse, you pinned me to the ground and slapped me repeatedly. This third time, what are you trying to do? At this moment, Curlia resembled a frightened little wife, dodging the persecution of a villain. Pikachu, honey, can't we stop this? Looking at Curlia, who was adopting a defensive posture and retreating repeatedly to avoid him, Mu Chen was utterly helpless. Although the concept of marriage and obtaining a certificate didn't exist in this world, with the existence of the system, Mu Chen had already implicitly accepted Curlia as his wife. Unfortunately, this woman was far too wary of him. He couldn't even manage a simple emotional exchange with her. Rilakkuma, seeing Pikachu take 2 more steps towards her, Curlia finally snapped. With a loud shout, a pink halo shot from her forehead, striking Mu Chen fiercely. This was Curlia's newly learned move, Psychic Beam. Pikachu, damn it. Every time I have to teach you a lesson? Seeing the communication fail again, Mu Chen was furious. Damn it, I wanted to have a proper emotional exchange with you, why is it so difficult? Looking at Curlia's stance, Mu Chen knew what to do. Either he would simply recall her to her Pokeball and go to sleep, or he would, like last time, give her a good beating before considering anything else. Considering this little girl was about to evolve, Mu Chen's choice was naturally to seize every opportunity. Pikachu, zzzzz. Facing Curlia's attack, Mu Chen dared not be careless in the slightest. A bolt of electricity, about the thickness of 4 fingers, shot towards the oncoming psychic. Boom, an explosion rang out. At this moment, Mu Chen was most grateful that he was far enough away that the explosion wouldn't disturb Ash and Misty. Pikachu, using the dust and smoke from the explosion, Mu Chen quickly activated. With the added speed, he used Quick Attack. A golden figure flashed through the night like lightning, appearing instantly in front of Curlia. Rilakkuma, seeing the suddenly appearing Pikachu, Curlia was naturally terrified. But just as she was about to use Teleport, a weak current shot into her body. This was an electromagnetic wave that could paralyze. Pikachu, you better shut up. Electromagnetic waves paralyzed Curlia, and Mu Chen slammed her to the ground again. Slap. Slap. Slap, damn it. Serves you right for being disobedient. Serves you right for always arguing with me. Can't you be gentle? Fine, I'll beat you up. Enraged, Mu Chen showed no mercy. Lilu, but as he slapped her, Mu Chen suddenly noticed that Curlia beneath him had stopped resisting. Even her cries had become much softer. Pikachu, what the hell? Has she given in? Because of his doubts, Mu Chen naturally stopped. But when he looked down, he found Curlia looking at him with seductive eyes, even a hint of resentment in them, as if blaming him for stopping. Holy crap! Are you a masochist? At that moment, Mu Chen, who had seen countless pornographic films, understood. So Curlia actually has this kind of taste. No wonder she always wants to fight me. Having discovered this little girl's quirk, why should Mu Chen be polite? Slap. Slap. Slap, the sounds rose from the night sky again. Damn it, so this is how you communicate with this little girl. At this moment, Mu Chen finally understood why this arrogant little girl always looked down on him. It turns out she didn't get her fill of beatings. Damn it, why didn't I find out sooner? But speaking of which, this feels pretty good. At this moment, both Mu Chen and Curlia were in the zone, each immersed in their own world. Chapter 207 The Surprise Attack by Amazon in Kasaburo. Damn it. We lost again, what do we do now? What if the boss blames us? That stupid duck is so awful. It must have deliberately lured me to attack it. Meow, under the same starry sky, under the same night sky, Team Rocket's trio was filled with frustration and self-blame. After receiving their leader Giovanni's reward, the three of them were brimming with confidence. Who would have thought they'd lose to such a powerful Pokémon? Of course, the trio would never consider whether their loss was due to mistakes in commanding the battle. We can't go for now. Charizard is exhausted, and Rhyperior is seriously injured. Let's find a place to rest first. Once they've recovered, we'll launch another surprise attack. This time, we must seize the opportunity to separate them. As long as those two brats aren't near Pikachu, we can definitely win if we only deal with one Pikachu. After some thought, Jessie, unwilling to accept defeat, finally set the tone for their team's next move. Meanwhile, in another mountain valley, Yamato and Kasaburo were making final preparations. Kasaburo, is everything checked? Are you sure everything's okay? Yamato and Kasaburo had prepared a lot for this raid. There was no other way. Their boss's orders were to attack the brats and steal Pikachu. However, the boss had only given the order, without any logistical support. Considering their previous failure, Yamato and Kasaburo had to find an unconventional way to complete this mission. Don't worry, Yamato, this thing will definitely work. My only worry is that it's too powerful and will kill them outright. Stroking the black cannon barrel in his arms, Kasaburo's handsome face was contorted with rage. If this thing hit its target head-on, its power would be no less than a hyper beam. It's alright, as long as they don't kill Pikachu, they're just two brats. The leader's mission was to capture Pikachu. Yamato and the others didn't care about the lives of others. Besides, Yamato had lost face in front of those brats last time, and he had to get revenge. Of course, Ash and Misty were unaware of all this. They were even fast asleep, unaware that Pikachu had thoroughly thrashed Curlia all night. Ah! I slept so well, Ash. I think I heard some Pokémon battles last night, did you hear them? Unlike Ash, Misty vaguely heard explosions from skill clashes in her sleep. No, oh well, we're in the wild. Maybe there are wild Pokémon battling, don't worry about it, in the wild, Pokémon don't always get along. Battles and killings happen all the time. Ash didn't care about that at all. Just as Ash and Misty finished their brief rest and were preparing to continue their journey, a deafening roar suddenly erupted from the sky. Pikachu, what was going on? The sudden explosion startled Mu Chen, who was taking a nap in Misty's arms. Before Mu Chen could react, a tremendous force surged through him. Damn it! Team Rocket! That was Mu Chen's last thought before he lost consciousness. Ha ha ha! Saburo, well done! When Yamato saw their rocket launcher successfully hit its target, she burst into loud laughter. Those were wretched brats, those yellow-skinned rats, you've humiliated me. Of course, I practiced all night to make sure this hit. Saburo, carrying the rocket launcher, was equally excited. If he'd known it would be so easy to defeat their opponents, why bother with all that effort? Let's go check if those two brats are dead. And that yellow-skinned rat. Make sure it doesn't get blown up. Having successfully hit their targets, Yamato and Kasaburo's next task was naturally to inspect their spoils of victory. Don't worry, the rocket launcher wasn't that powerful. Pikachu will definitely be fine. As the user of the rocket launcher, Kasaburo was naturally the most qualified to speak on this matter. Cough cough, Misty, Pikachu, how are you? The power of this rocket launcher wasn't actually that strong. At least Ash, with his special defense maxed out, wasn't seriously injured. However, when he saw the unconscious Misty and Pikachu, Ash panicked. In this deep forest, if Misty or Pikachu suffered any serious injuries, there would be nowhere to find treatment. Brawl. Quickly hand over Pikachu's Pokeball. Just as Ash was anxiously checking on Misty and Pikachu, a sharp shout suddenly came from behind him. It was Yamato and Kasaburo, who had rushed over to inspect their victory. Damn it! Team Rocket, it's you again. Seeing Yamato and Saburo appear, how could Ash not know that this was all premeditated? Ha ha ha. That's right, it's us. Kid, let's see how arrogant you are this time. Come out, Houndoom, Sably. Confirming that the most threatening Pikachu was stunned, Yamato laughed triumphantly. Without Pikachu, how could this one brat be a match for the two of them? It seemed that their boss's mission was successfully completed. And me, kid, I'll avenge my cloister. Primeep, Mighty Ina, come out. Compared to Yamato, Saburo harbored even stronger hatred for Ash. Yamato had only lost a small undershirt and suffered a slight loss of face. But Saburo had lost a main Pokémon. For a trainer, this was a tremendous loss. Damn it. Trying to steal Pikachu? No way. Come out, Pidgeotto, Melodic, Curlia. Facing two opponents alone, Ash naturally wouldn't be careless. Although Ash preferred the sacred battle of one-on-one Pokémon combat, these two despicable Team Rocket members clearly wouldn't fight him one-on-one. Seeing his partner injured and his starter Pokémon unconscious, Ash was consumed by rage. Faced with this crisis, Ash finally let go of his obsession in his so-called sacred one-on-one Pokémon battle. He knew in his heart that at this moment, he was the only one left to protect Pikachu. Chapter 208 Fierce Battle. HMPH. Kid, your three Pokémon are no match for us, what's the point? Go. Houndoom, use Flamethrower. Sably, use Power Gem. With 2 against 1, Yamato was brimming with confidence. You guys charge in 2. Primeep, you take care of Pidgeotto, use Wild Slash. Mighty Ina, you go deal with Curlia, use Crunch. With Yamato and Kasaburo's commands, Ash's battle against them officially began. Let's fight. Melodic, use Water Pulse to block Houndoom's Flamethrower. Curlia, use Psychic, your target is Sably's Power Gem. Pidgeotto, use U-turn on Mighty Ina, watch out for Primeep's Wild Slash. Hold on, you just need to hold them off. Ash was outnumbered, but this didn't faze him. To protect his companions, Ash was willing to pay any price. I know. Upon receiving Ash's command, Melodic was the first to attack. After a long cry, it unleashed a water pulse at Houndoom's Flamethrower. Although Melodic hadn't fully recovered from yesterday's battle with Charizard, it had gained considerable experience in dealing with Flamethrower attacks. Beep beep, Pidgeotto, Ash's toughest fighter, was usually the first to appear and the first to be eliminated. However, this didn't mean Pidgeotto was weak. Through constant battles, Pidgeotto had accumulated combat experience. Now, against these two fierce but ultimately harmless opponents, Pidgeotto could hold out for a while. Riri, however, what surprised Ash the most was Kirlia. This little girl was usually Ash's most combative fighter. But today, Kirlia's condition greatly surprised Ash. Although it attacked as Ash instructed, the power was far less than usual. It was as if yesterday's battle wasn't against Melodic, but against Kirlia. Boom! Boom! The sounds of clashing moves echoed continuously. Kirlia's psychic beam was the first to be defeated. In its clash with Sably's power gem, it couldn't even stop it. It was shattered upon contact. Rilakkuma, with psychic beam destroyed, Kirlia had to use instant transmission to dodge. However, its instant transmission was even a fraction slower than usual. Ha ha ha. Kid, is this all you've got? After just one exchange, Ash's Kirlia was injured, and Yamato laughed wildly. Damn it. Kirlia, hang in there. Although he didn't know why Kirlia was in such poor condition, in the current situation, all Ash could do was cheer her on. This battle couldn't be lost. Rillick, with a cry of resentment, Kirlia, knocked to the ground, rose again. Heave-ho, but just then, a dark figure suddenly pounced on the rising Kirlia. It was none other than the mighty Ina, having shaken off Pidgeotto's harassment. It opened its ferocious maw, its fangs gleaming with a chilling light, radiating endless savagery. Rillick, severely injured once more, Kirlia finally let out a painful cry. Just then, a large bird suddenly appeared in the sky. Beep! Ash's task for Pidgeotto was to hold off the mighty Ina. Now that its opponent had not only escaped its entanglement but had also injured its companion, Pidgeotto was instantly enraged. After letting out a long cry, Pidgeotto, without waiting for Ash's command, charged fiercely at the mighty Ina. It used a flying type move it had never used before, High Attack. Heave-ho, high-altitude attack is considered one of the most damaging moves among flying types. Caught off guard, the Griefhound, hit by the high-altitude attack, immediately released Kirlia, letting out a painful howl. Well done, Pidgeotto. That's it. Seeing Pidgeotto's success, Ash's tense mood eased slightly. Having escaped the Griefhound's clutches, Kirlia was finally able to get up. Riri, because of her poor condition, which led to repeated attacks from her opponent, the proud Kirlia was furious. Even though I'm a masochist, not just anyone can masochize me. Suddenly, the furious Kirlia recovered and unleashed a powerful psychic attack on Sably, who had just used its second power gem. Boom! Another violent explosion rang out. Wow! Sably's second power gem was used on Melodic. Caught completely off guard, Sably naturally accepted Kirlia's sudden attack without resistance. Sably is a dark ghost type. A typical psychic type attack wouldn't harm it. However, psychic is different. While the damage isn't high, the powerful psychic ability allows it to control the opponent. Controlled by Kirlia, Sably temporarily lost its threat. Good job. Kirlia, that's it, control Sably. Sably was arguably the most threatening Pokémon trash in Yamato and Kasaburo's hands. If Kirlia could control it, Melodic's pressure would be greatly reduced. Previously, Melodic, having been defeated by Kirlia and simultaneously suffering attacks from Sably and Houndoom, was in dire straits. Now that Sably was controlled, Melodic gained the upper hands in the attack exchange. After all, Houndoom isn't Charizard. Its base stats and level are far inferior. Charizard can withstand Melodic's type advantage with its flamethrower, but that doesn't mean Houndoom can. I know, without external pressure, Melodic instantly erupted. After a long roar, Melodic unleashed a powerful water pulse at Houndoom. Houndoom was already at a disadvantage in the previous attack clash. This is why, after defeating Kirlia, Yamato immediately ordered Sably to support Houndoom. Faced with Melodic's powerful water pulse, Houndoom had no choice but to counter with flamethrower. However, this time, Houndoom failed to block Melodic's attack. Sizzle sizzle, the sound of water evaporating filled the air during the attack clash. But that was all. Breaking through flamethrower, Melodic's water pulse slammed into Houndoom's chest with unstoppable force. Roar, a painful roar rang out. It was already at a disadvantage in terms of attributes, and its level didn't offer much of an advantage either. This water wave attack severely injured the Ruby. Chapter 209 Unfavorable Battle Situation. You wretched brat, you asked for this. Go, Rattata, Blue Boom. With Houndoom severely injured and Sably under control, although Kasaburo's Primip and mighty Ina had already entangled Pidgeotto, The battle wasn't going as smoothly as Yamadori had envisioned. Enraged, Yamadori held nothing back. At Yamadori's summons, a giant rat nearly a meter long and a purple Pokémon with curved horns, about 1.5 meters tall, appeared before her. These were Rattata and Blue Boom. In the battle where Yamadori had ambushed Misty, Rattata had defeated Psyduck and Starmie. As for Blue Boom, it fared much worse, being defeated by Mu Chen with virtually no chance to perform. However, now that Misty was severely injured and unconscious, and Mu Chen was also unconscious, Yamadori's 2 Pokémon had ample opportunity to shine. Mildano, use Water Pulse to attack Rattata. Pidgeotto was still struggling to hold its own, and Curlia's psychic powers wouldn't last much longer, so Ash had to pin all his hopes on Milotic. However, Milotic was also nearing its limit. After yesterday's head-on battle, Milotic was practically exhausted. Having only rested in its Pokéball for one night, it couldn't possibly recover. I know. Despite this, upon hearing Ash's command, Milotic unhesitatingly unleashed a Water Pulse at Rattata, who had just entered the battle. HMPH. Rattata, use Sucker Punch. Brutus, your opponent is Curlia, charge in and use Fire Punch. Milotic was already at its limit. Rattata was more than enough to deal with it. At this moment, all Yamato wanted was to defeat that wretched Curlia and free his Sably from psychic control. Lada, a sharp cry rang out. At Amador's command, Rattata instantly transformed into a streak of light, breaking through the Water Pulse move at incredible speed and hurtling towards Milotic. Sucker Punch, a Dark-type move, already deals considerable damage and can further boost its attack speed after the opponent launches an attack. Rattata had previously used this move to defeat Misty's Starmie. Now, facing Milotic, Rattata used the same tactic. I know, Water Pulse was broken, and Milotic was completely unprepared for Rattata's sudden attack. Excellent. That's it. Rattata, use KO Fang to take down this giant snake. Seeing Rattata's successful Sucker Punch, Amador was even more excited. Judging from the current situation, taking down this brat was no problem at all. Once this brat was defeated, not only would the boss's mission be successfully completed, but everything she and Casaburo had spent on this operation would be compensated. It's important to know that Milotic, Curlia, and even Misty's Starmie are all rare and valuable Pokémon. Rattata, receiving Yamato's command, Rattata, having just used Sucker Punch, immediately bared its massive front teeth and delivered a vicious bite to Milotic. Eek, bitten by Rattata, Milotic could only writhe in agony, desperately trying to shake off the disgusting, drool-filled creature. However, Rattata's teeth were incredibly sharp. The bite penetrated deep into the flesh, and no matter how much Milotic struggled, Rattata remained firmly attached. Clang, just as Rattata was suppressing Milotic, Brutus, with its clumsy steps, arrived in front of Curlia. Because it was using psychic powers to control Sably, Curlia couldn't use teleport to dodge Brutus's attack. Rilakkuma, with no way to avoid it, the proud Curlia chose to take the flame punch head-on. But she quickly regretted it. Seeing the seemingly weak punch from King Brutus, Curlia was confident she could withstand it. But who would have thought the punch would be so powerful? With just this one blow, Curlia's psychic control was shattered, and she herself suffered serious injuries. Beep, misfortune never comes singly. Just as Milotic and Curlia were in danger, Pidgey's mournful cry rang out. Although it used its flight advantage to constantly entangle Primeape and Mightyena, after a successful attack, before it could even take flight, Primeape, already prepared, used its body to pin it down. As the saying goes, a fallen phoenix is worse than a chicken, let alone a Pidgey that's even worse than a phoenix. Losing its aerial advantage and facing the combined attack of Primeape and Mightyena, Pidgeotto could only flap its wings and let out painful cries. Ha ha ha. Kid, let's see what you can do now. Mightyena, ignore that stupid bird and drag that brat over here. Ash's Milotic was completely overwhelmed by Rattata, and it was only a matter of time before it lost its fighting ability. Even Curlia was severely weakened after being hit by a flame punch from Brutus. Facing the combined attack of Sably and Brutus, it couldn't hold out for long either. Now, Ash had no Pokémon left to use. Under these circumstances, Ash naturally adopted the victor's stance. Damn it. You bastards, don't even think about it. With his Pokémon defeated one after another, Ash had no choice but to pick up a rock, preparing for a final stand. Give up his Pokémon? No way. Facing the Mightyena baring its teeth and approaching him, Ash raised the rock high. But Alice, The great wolfhound wasn't some domesticated mongrel. How could it be scared away by a mere rock? Ow! A howl erupted from the great wolfhound's mouth. Immediately, the howling great wolfhound pounced fiercely on Ash. Zzz. Just as Ash was in despair, a bolt of electricity suddenly flashed past its ear. Ow! Having already been hit by a powerful attack from Pikachu, the great wolfhound was already in poor condition. Now, struck by this sudden surge of electricity, it collapsed to the ground, writhing in pain. Pikachu, seeing the flash of electricity, Ash quickly turned around to look. And who else could have released the electricity but Pikachu? Pikachu, damn it, a sneak attack? That's suicidal. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 210 The Legendary Aura of Kingship? At this moment, Mu Chen's heart was filled with rage. Damn it, all I did last night was have a little fun with that little wench Curlia, and play for a little too long. And now, on this rare day when I'm low on energy, I've been ambushed. When Yamato and Kasaburo's rocket hit, Mu Chen, due to his lack of energy, was completely unable to react. The massive impact knocked Xiaoxia unconscious, and Mu Chen was also knocked unconscious. However, because he was in Xiaoxia's arms, his injuries weren't serious. After a brief period of unconsciousness, Mu Chen was awakened by a violent explosion. Opening his eyes, Mu Chen was immediately furious. Damn it, they bullied my girl? When he saw Melodic writhing in pain, unable to shake off that disgusting Rattata, when he saw Curlia like a small boat, precariously caught in the attack of Sably and Brutus. When he saw Xiaoxia lying unconscious to the side, Mu Chen was completely enraged. Just then, Xiaozhi also encountered danger. Seeing that Xiaozhi was about to be pounced on by the mighty Ina, Mu Chen didn't have time to think and unleashed a thunderbolt, saving the idiot. Pikachu, ignoring the excited Xiaozhi, Mu Chen, having electrified the mighty Ina, rushed forward. Damn it! That yellow rat is awake. Seeing his mighty Ina electrified, Kasaburo was immediately alarmed. He had experienced the fighting power of this yellow rat before, and now that it was awake, this battle would be difficult. Kasaburo, don't panic, leave this Pikachu to me. Unlike Kasaburo's panic, Yamato was even more eager to fight upon seeing Pikachu charging. This wretched yellow rat had made me lose face. Today, I'm going to teach it a lesson. Pikachu, Mu Chen didn't care what Yamato and Kasaburo thought. Enraged, Mu Chen held nothing back. A cry rang out, and electricity crackled on his cheeks as he charged forward. Sizzle, sparks of electricity leaped from Mu Chen's cheeks. Then, a bolt of electricity, about 4 fingers thick, shot fiercely at the still fist-wielding Brutus. Bang! The familiar stinging sensation returned, and Brutus let out a painful cry. Damn it! Sably, use Shadow Claw to pin this little thing down. Pikachu, now moving at high speed, was like a nimble Pokémon on the battlefield. Yamato was furious watching the creature constantly weave through the air and attack his Pokémon. Ghost, at Yamato's command, Sably let out a sharp cry. Then, a dark, eerie light emanated from its arms. This is the Ghost-type physical attack move, Shadow Claw. Pikachu, who the hell are you trying to scare? Looking at Sably's eerie appearance, Mu Chen was not afraid at all. What a pathetic thing, no matter how well you pose, can you hit me? At this time, Melodic had completely lost its ability to fight, and Curlia was also on the verge of its limit. In a situation where he was fighting multiple opponents, Mu Chen had no interest in standing still and exchanging blows with him. The only way to solve the problem was to run, keep running, and then find an opportunity to launch a surprise attack, knocking them down one by one with electric flip. Damn it! This cunning little mouse. Rattata, use quick attack to hold it back. Seeing that Sably's attack missed, Yamato hurriedly ordered Rattata, who had already taken down Melodic, to come and help. Primarin, help Rattata attack it from both sides, seize the opportunity, and use Rollout. Mighty Ina was electric flipped, and at this time, Kasaburo's only remaining Pokémon was Primarin. As a fighting-type Pokémon, Primip's offensive power is quite formidable. Previously, held back by Pidgeotto, Primip hadn't had a chance to unleash its full potential. Now, Kasaburo believed that as long as Pikachu was held back by Rattata, Primip could deliver a fatal blow. Rada, Puha, with their commands, Rattata and Primip charged at Pikachu from the left and right. Pika Pika, quick attack? You think you can do that? Hearing Yamato's command to Rattata, Mu Chen activated quick attack without hesitation. Trying to catch me? You're dreaming. Whoosh, a golden figure instantly accelerated, like a shooting star, breaking free from Rattata and Primip's encirclement in a flash. Bang, Mu Chen darted out. Rattata couldn't stop. A quick flash struck its target hard, but unfortunately, the target was its companion, Primip. PFFT, Primip is known for its bad temper. Enraged by the attack from Rattata, it ignored its trainer's commands and grabbed Rattata, who hadn't yet pushed it away, delivering a powerful chop. Rattata, as a normal-type Pokémon, Primip's fighting-type moves can inflict significant damage on Rattata. Caught off guard by the sudden attack, Rattata, equally short-tempered, also flared up. I didn't even bump into you on purpose. Is it really necessary to be so ruthless? Without hesitation, the enraged Rattata bared its gleaming front teeth and delivered a vicious bite to Primip. Pikachu, what the hell? What's going on? After using Quick Flash to teleport away, Mu Chen had originally planned to retaliate. Unexpectedly, when he turned around, what appeared before him was a fierce melee between the rat and the monkey. Watching these two fight, exchanging blows, Mu Chen was dumbfounded. Had he awakened some kind of domineering aura? Could his mere tremor of his body make his enemies automatically submit? Clearly, that was impossible. Damn it! Rattata, attack Pikachu, stop. Primip, stop fighting. The two Pokémon were locked in combat, and the most anxious were Yamato and Kasaburo. However, Rattata and Primip, engrossed in their fight, completely ignored their trainer. At this moment, nothing was more important than defeating this despicable creature. Pikachu Pikachu, holy crap, this is intense, I'm not getting involved, you two continue. Seeing the fierce battle between Primip and Rattata, Mu Chen decided to give them enough time to determine a winner. With those two gone, the remaining Soul Hokai was much easier to deal with. Looking at Soul Hokai not far away, Mu Chen revealed a sinister smile. Damn it, you dare bully my girl? If I don't electrocute you today, I'll change my surname to yours. Chapter 211 Kasaburo, dead. Ugh, the battle escalated from a group fight and chaotic brawl into a one-on-one duel. Sably, facing Pikachu, showed no weakness, brandishing its sharp front claws. Very good. Sably, use Power Gem. At this point, Yamato knew that helping Sably was the priority. As for the two still fighting amongst themselves? Anyway, with Kasaburo around, they would have already stopped them if they could. One more Yamato wouldn't make a difference. Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. Similarly, having temporarily escaped danger, Ash focused all his attention on the battle between Pikachu and Sably. Pika, Thunderbolt? No problem, but wait, I need to charge up first. Mu Chen had no objection to Ash's command, but before using Thunderbolt, Mu Chen chose to charge up. Sably? Damn it, I said I'd electrocute you once, so I definitely won't do it a second time. Ugh, Sably, of course, had no idea what Pikachu was thinking. Upon receiving Yamato's command, the crimson gem on Sably's chest emitted a chilling light. Immediately, a powerful energy surge erupted from the gem. This was Sably's signature move, Power Gem. Pikachu, ignoring the incoming Power Gem, Mu Chen dodged it with a flash of light, continuing his recharging. Pikachu. Counterattack. Seeing Pikachu merely dodge Sably's attack, Ash panicked. What was going on? Pikachu's strength was clearly no less than Sably's, so why was it dodging? Ha ha ha. Kid, it seems your Pikachu suffered considerable damage in the previous explosion. Sably, use Power Gem again. Seeing Pikachu dare not retaliate, Yamato was overjoyed. Clearly, their previous rocket launcher had worked. Pikachu's previous dominance was merely its last gasp. Judging from the current situation, it probably can't even use Thunderbolt anymore, right? After Pikachu woke up, Yamato still had some hesitation. Especially after Mighty Ina and Brutus were knocked out by electric shocks, and Rattata and Primip even had an internal battle, Yamato panicked even more. But who would have thought that this Pikachu was just a showpiece, posing no threat at all? Confirming that Pikachu was in poor condition, Yamato saw the light of victory again. With morale soaring, even her commands to Sably became louder. Damn it. No, Pikachu will be alright. Pikachu, let's counterattack. Hearing Yamato's words and seeing Pikachu still constantly dodging, Ash panicked. Could it be that, as Yamato said, Pikachu was also seriously injured? Pikachu, what the hell? I'm charging, didn't you see? Mu Chen understood Ash's panic, but this guy wanted to knock Sably out with a single blow, so the charging had to continue. Finally, after dodging several of Sably's attacks, Mu Chen's charging was complete. Zzzzz. Sparks of electricity began to leap on Mu Chen's cheeks. Then, a fist-thick bolt of electricity gathered and struck Sably, which was still mindlessly firing power gems. Boom, a loud bang rang out. After the explosion, Yamato was stunned, and Ash was stunned too. It turned out that Pikachu wasn't in bad shape, but was charging up a powerful attack. With one Mega Thunderbolt, Sably didn't even let out a scream before collapsing to the ground, smoking. Clearly, this guy had completely turned into a ghost, and his so-called dark-type typing had been completely destroyed. Ah! Damn it! Kasaburo, let's go! Seeing Sably fall, Yamato had no more intention of delaying. This yellow-skinned rat was even stronger than the last time she saw it. Sably was Yamato's main Pokémon, and it couldn't even withstand a single hit, getting instantly killed. Although Yamato was heartbroken, she was even more terrified. The thought of being hit by such a terrifying 100,000 volts sent chills down her spine. Therefore, the only option left for Yamato was to retreat. Pikachu, run? Where to run? Looking at Melodic lying on the ground, still bleeding profusely, looking at Curly hiding nearby, panting heavily, looking at Misty unconscious on the ground, Mu Chen's heart was already filled with rage. The reason he charged up before attacking Sably was to achieve a one-hit kill. Now, facing the fleeing Yamato and Kasaburo, Mu Chen harbored murderous intent. These despicable bastards, since you dared to ambush me, you'd better be prepared to pay the price with your lives. You wretched brats, just you wait, we'll get our revenge sooner or later. Throwing a smoke bomb, Yamato and Kasaburo officially entered their villainous retreat declaration phase. But before they could finish speaking, dark clouds suddenly gathered in the sky. Crackling and popping, strike after strike of lightning came from the dark clouds, countless leaping bolts of lightning weaving through them. Seeing the sudden noise, Yamato and Kasaburo were naturally terrified. But before they could retreat, thunder roared down, slamming into their location. Boom, 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 violent explosions echoed through the smoke. This was Mu Chen's ultimate move, Thunder Strike. While the thunder skill was incredibly powerful, Mu Chen dared not use it lightly, especially right after engaging an enemy. After all, this skill consumed too much of his energy. However, now that Yamato and Kasaburo wanted to escape, Mu Chen naturally had no such concerns. So what if they drained his electricity? He'd still blast them to death. With smoke billowing, Mu Chen couldn't possibly give chase. Therefore, thunder became his best option to keep his enemies in place. Ah! Kasaburo. You brat. Just you wait. Yamato, will definitely come back for revenge. The thunder gradually dissipated. A mournful roar came from within the smoke. Clearly, Yamato was lucky and hadn't been hit by the thunder. But judging from her words, Mu Chen could guess that Kasaburo had probably become cannon fodder under the thunder skill. HMPH. I'll let you off this time. Yamato? If you dare to appear in front of me again, I will definitely kill you. Because of the harm these two guys had done to Zyloksha, only their lives could extinguish the anger in Mu Chen's heart. Is chapter 212 not finished? Pikachu, having defeated Kasaburo and repelled Yamato, Mu Chen frantically ran towards Misty. After regaining consciousness, Mu Chen hadn't even had a chance to check on Misty's injuries. Now that the enemy was gone, he naturally wanted to see her immediately. Ha ha ha. Pikachu, great, we won. Don't worry, Misty's alright, I already checked. Seeing Pikachu rushing towards Misty, the excited Ash intercepted it. Pikachu, alright? That's a relief. But why the hell are you hugging me like that? Let go. I want to see Misty. In his excitement, Ash lifted the Pikachu running in that direction high. However, Mu Chen wasn't in the mood for his nonsense. After struggling to no avail, Mu Chen decisively activated the last bit of electricity within his body. He couldn't use Thunderbolt or anything like that, but he could still barely manage an electric shock. After knocking Ash out of the water, Mu Chen ran straight to Misty. That clueless little brat, do I even have the time to celebrate with you right now? Reaching Misty's side, after a quick check, he confirmed that, as Ash had said, Misty had only suffered some scratches and was knocked unconscious by the blast. Ignoring Ash, Mu Chen began licking Misty's pretty face. Of course, this wasn't taking advantage of her. It was simply Mu Chen expressing his concern. There was no way he could lift Misty with Pikachu's small frame. All Mu Chen could do was lick the blood and dust off Misty's face. Ha ha ha. Kajiro, looks like we've arrived just in time. I didn't expect Yamato and the others to be here too, kid. Let's see what you do this time. Meow, Jessie. Is that Saburo's corpse? Damn it. That brat killed Saburo, just as Mu Chen was licking Xiaoxi's wounds, and just as Xiao Zhi was preparing to recall his heavily injured Melodic and Curlia, the voices of Team Rocket came from behind them again. Originally, the fleeing trio didn't intend to directly cause trouble for Xiao Zhi. But who would have thought that early in the morning, while on their way, the trio heard a series of explosions. Looking in the direction of the explosions, they saw it was right where Xiao Zhi and the others were. Thinking there was an opportunity to gain an advantage, the trio temporarily changed their plans and rushed towards Xiao Zhi's location. Now, when the trio arrived, it was just as Yamato was defeated and Saburo was dead. Damn it. Team Rocket, it's you again. Seeing the endless stream of Team Rocket members, Ash's eyes blazed with fury. Kid, I can't believe you managed to kill Saburo. But that's all. Go, Arbok. Although the Yamato duo and Jessie's trio were both members of Team Rocket, their relationship was far from amicable. That's why, upon seeing Saburo's corpse, Jessie's trio only showed a brief moment of shock. At this moment, Jessie's trio were fighting with the intention of getting an easy win and a winning mentality. Ash's Melodic was severely injured and lying on the ground, Pidgeotto looked like a plucked rooster, and Curlia also appeared to be badly injured. Even Pikachu, the only real threat, had its weak electric shock attack caught the attention of Jessie and the others. Clearly, Ash was exhausted after the fierce battle. Isn't this the perfect opportunity to take advantage? Kid, you dare kill a member of Team Rocket? Prepare to pay the price. Wheezing, it's your turn. Me too. Meow. Charizard and Rhyperior hadn't recovered from the previous battle. And facing Ash, who offered no resistance, the Jessie trio naturally used their own Pokémon. Damn it. Pikachu, let's fight. At this moment, only Pikachu remained capable of fighting. Although Ash knew that Pikachu was heavily weakened after using Thunder, he had no choice in the face of this suddenly appearing trio. Pika, damn, one battle after another? This is really one battle after another. I was careless. Originally, Mu Chen thought that after defeating the Jessie trio, this attack from Yamato and the other two would be the last. That's why Mu Chen cleared his internal electricity without reservation, killing Kasaburo on the spot. Unexpectedly, this wasn't the final battle. After Yamato's defeat, Musashi and his two companions reappeared. Damn it, did these guys plan this? Unfortunately, faced with this situation, Mu Chen had no choice but to fight, even if he didn't want to. Ha ha ha. Kid, prepare to die. Arbok, use Dissolve. Arbok's glare was useless against Pikachu, and Musashi, having learned her lesson, naturally wouldn't repeat the same mistake. Wheezing, use Poison Gas. If Pikachu were at its peak, Kajiro wouldn't even dare to attack it. Wheezing would only be used for a self-destruction escape. However, this Pikachu is clearly at its limit, and Kajiro, with a bit of courage, gave Wheezing the attack command. Little mouse, this time I, Meowth, will make you pay. Meow. Similarly, Meowth, having failed countless times in battles with Pikachu, was very dissatisfied with this situation. Having seized a good opportunity today, Meowth was determined not to miss it. Pikachu, can you still use Thunderbolt? If you can, then forget it. Pikachu, use Quick Attack. Seeing the Jessie trio make their move, Ash instinctively wanted Pikachu to use Thunderbolt. However, when he saw that Pikachu's cheeks couldn't even generate a trace of electricity, Ash decisively abandoned his unrealistic idea. Pika, Thunderbolt? I wanted to. But even if I can't use my ultimate move, I'm not afraid of these weaklings. Although filled with regret, Mu Chen was still not afraid of the Jessie trio. So what if he couldn't use Thunderbolt? Just a few weaklings. As for Quick Attack, which Ash mentioned, hell, Mu Chen wasn't stupid. Facing 3 opponents alone, and unable to use Thunderbolt, How could he possibly rush in and become easy prey? High-speed movement, activated. Against these three old rivals, Mu Chen's first choice was to accelerate. As long as he ran, opportunities would naturally arise. Chapter 213 Evolution, Gardevoir. Chiba, Weevil, Little Mouse, don't run. As the battle continued, Team Rocket's trio grew stronger with each fight. They discovered that they had actually gained the upper hand after facing Pikachu. This was a first in history. Due to depleted energy, Mu Chen was forced to resort to guerrilla warfare. However, when he seized an opportunity to deal with the cumbersome Weevil first, Mu Chen tragically discovered that he couldn't activate Thunderbolt, let alone Quick Attack. This meant that after using agility, Mu Chen was unable to use any moves. Only then did Mu Chen realize that when his energy was depleted, he couldn't use either special or physical attacks. Unfortunately, the battle had already begun, and it was too late for Mu Chen to regret it. With Melodic and the others unable to fight, and Misty unconscious, Mu Chen, unable to use any moves, could only keep running and stalling. Ha ha ha. Little Mouse, you're doomed today, kid, just you wait. Once we catch this little mouse, we'll make you pay for killing one of our Team Rocket members. Victory was within reach, and Jessie and Kajiro were excited. If they could capture this yellow-skinned mouse, not only would they successfully complete the mission assigned by their boss, but their trio would also make a name for themselves within Team Rocket. You see, the two-man Yamato team had been dominating them all before. Now, Yamato had been defeated, and Kajiro had even died on the spot, yet Jessie and her trio had finally taken down their opponent. What did this mean? The thought of completely suppressing Yamato and no longer having to see her arrogant face filled Jessie with excitement. Rilakkuma. Just when Mu Chen was at a loss, and Ash was at his wit's end, a weak cry suddenly came from behind them. The owner of the voice was none other than Kirlia, who had been seriously injured earlier. With Pikachu's support, Kirlia, who had been cornered, suddenly had a chance to catch her breath. After a short rest, Kirlia was ready to rejoin the battle. Of course, this was also driven by her proud and competitive nature. If it were an ordinary Pokémon, it would probably have already fallen unconscious from exhaustion. Great. Kirlia, use Psychic on Weezing. Seeing Kirlia dragging her tired body back into battle, Ash was naturally the most excited. Riri, upon receiving Ash's command, Kirlia did not hesitate at all. After letting out a cry, a series of pink energy beams shot out from her forehead. Although the energy in the psychic beam was not abundant, it was enough to deal with Weezing. Weezing, not expecting Kirlia to suddenly join the battle, Weezing was completely unprepared and took the hit head-on from this psychic beam that could have dealt a great deal of damage to it. Damn it. Meowth, you deal with that Kirlia, I'll handle this yellow rat. Seeing that Ash's team had a new Pokémon joining the battle, Jessie was furious. This psychic-type Kirlia posed a significant threat to her and James's poison-type Pokémon. Seeing the Weezing's agonizing cries after being hit by psychic beam, Jessie knew that Kirlia was a formidable enemy that had to be eliminated. Leave it to me, Meowth. Meowth wasn't afraid of Kirlia even when she was at her peak, and now that she was in poor condition, how could Meowth hesitate? Arbok, charge. Use bind. Grab this yellow rat. Because of Kirlia's sudden entry into the battle, Jessie and the others had lost the will to continue their playful antics. At this moment, Jessie only wanted to quickly capture Pikachu to prevent any further complications. Chaba, with Jessie's command, Arbok thrashed about, then lunged at the still-running Pikachu. Pika Pika, damn it, you think you can catch me? Although Mu Chen couldn't use any moves to retaliate, his agility made dodging Arbok's attacks relatively easy. With Kirlia's support, Mu Chen's pressure lessened considerably. At this moment, all he wanted was to stall for time. As long as he could recover even a little bit of energy, he'd crush you. Shanna, but just as Mu Chen was about to continue running to stall, a clear cry suddenly rang out. Pika, holy crap! What's going on? Attracted by the cry, Mu Chen instinctively turned his head. At that moment, Mu Chen was stunned. Holy crap! It evolved. It really evolved. The reward for the quest was Kirlia's evolution, but the quest wasn't even finished yet, and this little vixen had already evolved. Watching Kirlia, enveloped in radiant light, gradually grow into tall, slender, and aloof young lady in a white dress, Mu Chen was thrilled. Damn it! You finally evolved. I've waited far too long to see you in your aloof young lady form. Looking at the goddess-like Gardevoir before him, Mu Chen decisively entered his future imagining mode. This is life? Damn it. How did this thing evolve? Watch me claw wildly. Meow. While Mu Chen was excited, Meowth was furious. Just as Meowth's claws were about to grab Curlia, she evolved at this crucial moment. Unwilling to give up, Meowth decisively brandished its claws and fiercely scratched at the newly evolved Gardevoir. Shanna, after evolving, Gardevoir's injuries were mostly healed. Facing this weak opponent, Gardevoir didn't even bother to move. With a wave of her hand, a pink energy barrier instantly gathered between her hands. Then, a powerful wave of psychic energy erupted, firmly controlling the Meowth that was pouncing in midair. Pikachu, well done, you little vixen. Seeing that Gardevoir's strength had indeed increased significantly after evolving, Mu Chen was naturally very excited. At this moment, Mu Chen also felt a surge of power within his body. Although this power was relatively weak, it was still enough to unleash a 100,000 volt. Zzz. Sparks of electricity once again leaped from Mu Chen's cheeks. Although this current wasn't strong, it still generated a 100,000 volt, about 3 fingers thick. Chaba, Arbok, who was often hit by this attack, still couldn't avoid the thunderbolt attack this time, and the Indian snake dance was launched again. Damn it. Let's go. The situation was not good, and the trio very decisively chose to retreat. Chapter 214, 6th Ring Mission. The trio retreated, and the mission was finally complete in Mu Chen's mind. Although Mu Chen had expected this, he still breathed a long sigh of relief upon receiving confirmation. This was endless, it was exhausting. At this moment, Mu Chen's energy was completely depleted. Milotic was severely injured, Pidgeotto was severely injured, and even Gardevoir, which had just evolved, was in poor condition. Her previous 2 attacks were only sustained by her stubborn, unyielding nature. Now that the enemy had retreated, Gardevoir was no longer as aloof as before, panting heavily. Clearly, this proud little vixen had also reached her limit. Pikachu, Gardevoir, you two really worked hard this time. Ash was well aware that Pikachu and Gardevoir had played a crucial role in defeating the trio. Pikachu, too lazy to pay attention to this idiot, Mu Chen dragged his tired body back to Misty's side. At this moment, the exhausted Mu Chen only wanted to be by Misty's side, to protect this little girl who was so important to him. However, this guy didn't notice the anger in Gardevoir's eyes as she looked at him. Shanna, this heartless yellow-skinned mouse, I forced myself to evolve to protect you, and you don't even bother to comfort me? Unfortunately, Mu Chen really had no idea what Gardevoir was thinking. Pikachu, thank you. Ash, thank you. Finally, after resting for a while, Misty woke up. Seeing Misty awake again, Mu Chen's heart finally settled down. Damn, I'm exhausted, I want to sleep. Damn it. We lost again, what should we do? Boss will probably blame us. Meow, don't panic, Saburo is dead, it's normal that we can't beat him, I believe boss won't blame us too much. Just as Ash and his group were resting, the trio who had escaped to a distance started their annoyance mode again. Meowth was worried about being blamed by Giovanni, but when it heard Kajiro's assessment, it felt relieved. Yes, even Saburo is dead, let alone them? You see, within Team Rocket, the combination of Yamato and Saburo is far superior to them. Now that they think about it, maintaining a safe retreat from these kids is quite an achievement, isn't it? As the saying goes, comparison is the thief of joy. With this comfort, the Team Rocket trio felt much more at ease. So, should we report this to the boss? Meow, of the trio, Meowth was the one who respected Giovanni the most. No need, I reckon the boss already knows. Unlike Meowth, Musashi's gloomy mood instantly eased at the thought of Yamato's pathetic state after being scolded by the boss. HMPH. Serves you right for pretending with me. And just as Musashi and the others had predicted, Giovanni did receive a report from Makoto. You mean, Yamato and the others failed? Even Saburo died in battle. Hearing this news, Giovanni was genuinely surprised. That kid was actually that strong? You see, the 2 Pokémon he lent out, while not his main force, weren't far behind. Normally, with Charizard and Rhyperior, it's impossible for him to lose to that brat, right? That's right, boss. According to Yamato's report, that Pikachu not only knows Thunderbolt, but also used Thunder, an electric-type move, during their retreat. Saburo died from that move, like Giovanni, Makoto, as his secretary, was also filled with astonishment. A mere Pikachu could use thunder? Who would believe that? But Kasaburo had already proven it to Team Rocket with his life. That Pikachu could indeed use thunder. Thunder? Pikachu can use thunder? That's very interesting. Tell Yamato to cancel the operation. By the way, where are my 2 Pokémon? Have Yamato returned them? Even now, Giovanni still believed his 2 Pokémon were in Yamato's hands. Oh, boss, because Yamato's team and Jesse's team were too close, Delibird made a mistake. Your Pokémon are currently in the hands of Jesse's trio. Of course, Delibird wouldn't admit it was her mistake. Anyway, Kasaburo was dead, and Delibird wouldn't betray him. It was just their bad luck. I see, that explains it. Immediately send Delibird to retrieve my Pokémon. Tell Jesse and the others to continue tracking Pikachu. Hearing Delibird's report, Giovanni's doubts were dispelled. If Charizard and Raiden were in Jesse's hands, it was no wonder Yamato and her team failed. Giovanni could only sigh helplessly at this outcome. At this critical juncture in his grand plan, although this Pikachu is quite amusing, he had no time to concern himself with it. Everything had to prioritize the overall strategy. As for the failure of Team Yamato and the death of Kasaburo? Just kidding. Having joined Team Rocket, he naturally had to be prepared to die in battle at any time. Team Rocket wasn't some charity organization. Of course, Mu Chen was completely unaware of all that was happening at this moment. After a sound afternoon nap, he woke up again near midnight. Of course, even if he was filled with anticipation for his evolved Gardevoir, he wouldn't be in such a hurry. The reason he woke up was because he received a system mission notification. Ding ding, chain quest, the 5th stage of the road to regaining glory is complete, the 6th stage begins. The aloof goddess, Gardevoir. Young man, are you excited? Excited? Seeing Gardevoir's aloof goddess appearance, can you still hold back? Charge. Like a man, like a warrior, take her down, conquer her. Quest requirements, successfully conquer Gardevoir within 1 week. Failure penalty, Gardevoir's affection level resets to 0, Gardevoir leaves the party, chain quest is interrupted. This was the real reason that woke Mu Chen up. With Kirlia's evolution, his previous lolly-raising quest was naturally completed. Hearing the system's inflammatory words, Mu Chen's eyes immediately turned bloodshot. Are you kidding me? Hold back? Absolutely not. But anyway, there's still a week, no rush for one night, what I need right now is rest. Gardevoir? HMPH, just wait. Before long, you'll understand what true fear is. Chapter 215 Gardevoir's Wrath. Ash, according to Officer Jenny's map, we should be able to leave the mountains and reach Rocktown in another day. After the previous battle, Ash and Misty rested for a day. Once they had recovered somewhat, they resumed their journey. Milotic and Pidgeotto were both seriously injured, only surviving thanks to Pokeballs. If they weren't treated quickly, they might suffer lasting damage. Ash was naturally extremely anxious about this. Misty understood Ash's anxiety perfectly, which was why she accompanied him on the journey without complaint, despite her own exhaustion. Great! One more day, and we can have a good rest tomorrow. Ash was overjoyed to hear Misty's words. Since entering these deep mountains, the fatigue of the journey had been bearable, but after being attacked by Team Rocket, Ash and Misty had reached their limit. After all, they were just teenagers. Pikachu, one more day? At this moment, Mu Chen was perched on Xiao Zhi's shoulder. There was no other way. Xiao Xia had also suffered considerable external injuries during the last attack, and she was already struggling to walk on her own. How could Mu Chen bear to let her carry him? Of course, being the epitome of laziness, Mu Chen declared he absolutely would not walk on his own. Therefore, with no other choice, Mu Chen could only climb onto Xiao Zhi's shoulder. After 2 days of rest, Mu Chen's condition, while not fully recovered, was more than half better. Originally, Mu Chen planned to continue resting for 2 more days until he was completely recovered before attacking Gardevoir. However, it seemed there wasn't enough time now. After overhearing Xiao Zhi and Xiao Xia's conversation, he immediately made a decision. Gardevoir, tonight is the night for us to settle this. The system gave only a week for the mission, and it was already the 3rd day. Mu Chen didn't want to delay until Xiao Zhi and Xiao Xia arrived in town. Once they were in town, their evening activities wouldn't be as convenient as in the wild. To prevent any unforeseen circumstances, Mu Chen's decision was naturally to act tonight. Night slowly descended amidst Mu Chen's anticipation. Pikachu, Pikachu, come on, Gardevoir, let me really show you some love. The long-awaited moment finally arrived, and Mu Chen's hands trembled slightly with excitement. A nimble figure reappeared, skillfully taking the Pokeball containing Gardevoir, and Mu Chen dashed towards the wilderness at lightning speed. He was joking, he knew that his battle with Gardevoir would be earth-shattering. Mu Chen didn't want to disturb Ash and Misty with his battle. Shanna, a clear cry rang out, and Gardevoir's goddess-like figure appeared before Mu Chen. Pikachu, holy crap. The more I look at her, the more beautiful she becomes. Looking at the aloof Gardevoir before him, Mu Chen's heart pounded wildly. This was completely different from Melodic. Melodic, no matter what, is still a snake. But look at Gardevoir. Look at that slender waist, tall figure, long, shapely legs, and that aloof face. She's absolutely a goddess. As a human, Mu Chen's acceptance of Gardevoir's appearance is naturally much higher than Melodic's. If Melodic's appearance is only half-hearted due to the system's mission requirements, Gardevoir has no such intentions whatsoever. Even without this mission, I'd definitely charge in. Pikachu, Pikachu, come on, my dear, the night is short, let's hurry. After Gardevoir appeared, the impatient Mu Chen decisively launched his attack. However, Gardevoir clearly wasn't interested. Serena, Gardevoir's cry rang out again. But her expression was filled with anger. Clearly, this proud little girl still remembered Pikachu's previous indifference towards her. Without a word, the furious Gardevoir unleashed a psychic attack on the charging Mu Chen. Pika, damn it! Again? Once again frozen in midair, Mu Chen was instantly enraged. Damn it, it hasn't been long since I last beat you up, has it? Why are you so uncomfortable if you don't beat her up every day? Under control, all Mu Chen could think of was that Gardevoir masochistic nature would erupt again, wanting him to forcefully beat her up. What else was there to say? Thunderbolt, here we go. Zzz, electricity crackled. According to Mu Chen's plan, after his Thunderbolt broke through the psychic control, it would naturally be time for him to activate Quick Attack and then fight against Mighty Might. But Alice, this time the script completely exceeded his plan. Shanna, once her psychic attack was broken, Gardevoir didn't hesitate, unleashing a psychic beam at the golden figure that had used Quick Attack. Clearly, enraged, Gardevoir showed no mercy to Pikachu. You wretched thing. I risked my life to save you, and you heartless bastard didn't even glance at me. Now that everything's alright, you remember me? Trying to pounce on me? Dream on. With her tsundere nature unleashed, Gardevoir unleashed her full battle-ready spirit. Boom. Mu Chen, who was happily charging forward, was stunned. Completely unprepared, Mu Chen took a full hit from Gardevoir's psychic beam. Pikachu, what the hell? Gone mad? Really? If the previous psychic attack was this little vixen's last bit of restraint, then this psychic beam clearly meant she was serious. Shanna, a psychic beam blasted Pikachu away, and Gardevoir revealed a smug smile. Then, this little vixen activated teleport right in front of Mu Chen, returning to her Pokeball on her own. Clearly, her attitude was clear. I'm angry, I'm not playing with you anymore, Pika, holy crap. Was she really that ruthless? Gardevoir returned to her Pokeball on her own, not even giving herself a chance to retaliate. Mu Chen was completely dumbfounded. Damn it. Get out here. This isn't over until we get this straight. His attempt to force her out failed, and he even got countered. When had Mu Chen ever suffered such humiliation? But no matter how he tried to get her out, Gardevoir inside the Pokeball wouldn't budge. Pika Pika, you bitch, you just wait. After struggling for half the night without getting Gardevoir out, Mu Chen had no choice but to vent his anger on the Pokeball. Damn it, this stupid mission isn't as easy as I thought. Chapter 216 Eevee Manor. Ah. Is this Stone Town? Just like its name, all the buildings are made of stone. Finally out of the vast mountains, Ash and Misty looked at Stone Town before them, feeling a sense of nostalgia. After all, humans are better suited to living in towns. Ash, stop looking around, hurry up and ask if there's a Pokémon Center here. As soon as they arrived in Stone Town, Ash's attention was drawn to the surrounding buildings. Seeing Ash's carefree attitude, Misty could only remind him. Idiot, it's your Pokémon that needs treatment. Don't worry. A town this big must have a Pokémon Center. Ash's heart is always as vast as the sky. After arriving in the town, he was no longer in a hurry. Pikachu. Unlike Ash, Mu Chen was extremely annoyed. Damn it, there were only 3 days left in the mission, and he didn't even have a chance to make a move in Stone Town. Gardevoir, what to do? After what happened last night, Mu Chen had a rough idea of why Gardevoir wasn't cooperating. Clearly, after the last battle, he went straight for Misty, and the little vixen got angry. Damn it, she's petty and narrow-minded. Why can't she be more magnanimous like Melodic? I only ignored you because you evolved and your injuries weren't serious. Why is she so petty? Unfortunately, Gardevoir is clearly uncooperative, so Mu Chen has nowhere to complain. Oh? You're asking about Pokémon? Are you in town? We're just on the outskirts of Rock Town, a day's journey from there. While Mu Chen was still agonizing over how to win over that arrogant Gardevoir, Ash had already approached a passerby and asked, "A day more? I thought this was Rock Town. Excuse me, do you sell Pokémon healing items here?" Hearing that it would be another day before they reached Rock Town, Ash was worried. Melodic, thanks to her powerful self-healing ability, had mostly recovered from her external injuries. At most, she was exhausted and lacked energy. A visit to the Pokémon Center would suffice. But Pidgeotto couldn't afford to wait. In the last battle, Pidgeotto had single-handedly withstood 2 of Casaburo's Pokémon for a long time, making a significant contribution. However, the price it paid was nearly half its feathers being lost, and its injuries were severe. As Ash's first Pokémon, he was very attached to this stubborn creature. Previously, in the deep mountains, Ash had been helpless. Now that it had returned to human society, even if it couldn't be treated directly at the Pokémon Center, Ash was thinking of buying some medicine to alleviate its pain. Medicine? The largest Eevee family in our village seems to sell medicine. You could go check it out. Hearing Ash's question, the kind villager pointed him in the right direction. Eevee family? Thank you. With the guidance, Ash naturally didn't hesitate to take Misty and Pikachu towards their destination. However, when he arrived at the Eevee family estate, he found it wasn't as easy as he had imagined. What? Another battle? Don't you sell Pokémon healing items here? Looking at the bustling Eevee family manor, Ash was completely bewildered. Even though Ash was a battle maniac, he'd never heard of having to battle before buying medicine. Today is our young master's coming-of-age ceremony, so the pharmacy is not open to the public. If you want healing items, then please participate in this coming-of-age ceremony specially held for our young master. As long as you win the battle, healing items won't be a problem at all. As the saying goes, timing is everything. Today was the young master's coming-of-age ceremony, and Ash had arrived just in time. Alright. Let's battle then. Being a battle maniac, Ash naturally had no objections after hearing the explanation. Pikachu, battle my ass. I have no interest in fighting. Seeing Ash agree to the request almost without thinking, Mu Chen, perched on Ash's shoulder, felt deeply helpless. Damn it, all I want to do right now is take down that Gardevoir woman. Pikachu, are you also looking forward to this battle? Ha ha ha, let's go. This is the barrier of language communication. To Ash, Mu Chen's complaints were a signal to challenge him. Trainer, welcome to our family's young master's coming-of-age ceremony. Now, please draw your opponent. If you win, you will receive a free meal at our family's restaurant, and we will also present you with a gift. Upon arriving at the manor, Ash and Misty were greeted by a master of ceremonies. Pikachu, looking at the enthusiastic Ash, Mu Chen's only thought was how to avoid the battle. If he didn't participate, Gardevoir would be the one to fight. With Gardevoir fighting, he would naturally have a chance to observe and understand the problem. However, just as Mu Chen was about to give up and run away, the system suddenly jumped out to cause trouble. Beep beep, random mission. Young man, as a real man, don't always think about running away. Mission requirements, help Ash win the match. Mission reward, you piece of trash, don't you even understand women's minds? You still want me to help you? Failure penalty, you can even lose a freebie, you can go to hell. What the hell? What the hell? The sudden random mission completely dumbfounded Mu Chen. What the hell is this? What does the system mean? Why didn't it explain the reward clearly? Could it be that this thing is going to help me defeat Gardevoir? Yes. That's definitely it. Damn it. System, my dear. What was Mu Chen most annoyed about at this moment? It was Gardevoir's uncooperative attitude. If the system intervened, wouldn't all the problems be solved? At this moment, Mu Chen was full of fighting spirit and was filled with anticipation for this battle that he had originally been unwilling to fight. No matter if it's a freebie or a hellish one, I'll fight tooth and nail to successfully defeat Gardevoir. Pikachu, let's go. Just then, Ash successfully drew his battle opponent. Pika, without further ado, let's go, let's get him. For the first time, Mu Chen and Ash were in sync. Let's fight. Whoever you are, I'll beat you. Looking at the spirited Pikachu and Ash, Misty sighed helplessly. These two guys are really something. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 217's effect of showing off is perfect. Huh. You think you're my match, kid? If you can defeat me, you'll earn the respect of the Eevee family. Standing before Ash was a noble young master of about 17 or 18. He was also a member of the Eevee family. Enough talk, tell me the rules of the battle. Ash already understood the general situation of the match. The Eevee family had organized this competition to celebrate the coming-of-age ceremony of their youngest son. Firstly, it served as entertainment for the guests. Secondly, it provided an opportunity to train their members, a form of indirect training. All they had to offer was lunch and one of their family's prized evolution stones. This was a drop in the ocean for the vast Eevee family. Moreover, in this remote town, there seemed to be very few trainers who could defeat their family's members. My rules are simple, one-on-one, a single match to decide the winner. As a member of the Eevee family, this noble young master, fighting on home turf, possessed a unique arrogance. These idiot brats, all for a sumptuous lunch, for an evolution stone, they eagerly come to practice on me, young master. I'm not afraid of any number of them. At this moment, this young master had already defeated several challengers. Ash was now just another challenger about to lose. Alright. I choose you, Pikachu. Ash's biggest fear right now was this guy suggesting some ridiculous 3v3 battle. Thankfully, he only wanted a one-on-one. Pikachu had recovered most of its strength, and Ash was very confident of winning this match. Pika. Hearing Ash's command, Mu Chen immediately sprang from his shoulder. But just as Mu Chen was about to strike a pose, ready for battle, the Pokeball on Ash's waist suddenly shook. Shanna, a clear cry rang out. Clearly, Gardevoir was also very interested in this battle, even planning to replicate Psyduck's behavior, getting on the bus first and buying the ticket later. Huh? Gardevoir? You want to fight? Okay, then, seeing Gardevoir suddenly rush out, Ash naturally assumed this newly evolved creature wanted to show off. Ash didn't care about this situation. Whether it was Pikachu or Gardevoir, Ash never thought he would lose. However, while Ash thought this way, Mu Chen didn't. Pikachu, get lost. This is my battlefield. Are you kidding me? If you go on the field, how am I supposed to complete my mission? Normally, Mu Chen would absolutely support this situation 100%. But now, for the mission, for taking down this damn woman, Mu Chen would absolutely not compromise. Ha. Kid, I must say, your Pokémon are indeed very rare, but it seems you can't command them? Go, my partner, Jolteon. Seeing that Ash couldn't even control his Pokémon, the young nobleman burst into laughter. Gardevoir is indeed rare, but if you can't even command her. Pikachu, seeing that his opponent had already summoned his Pokémon, Mu Chen immediately panicked. Damn it, you bitch, you're not comfortable unless you're picking a fight with me, are you? In his anger, Mu Chen ignored everything else, directly launched an electromagnetic wave, and turned around to run towards the arena. You bitch, you can just stay behind and be my cheerleader, watch my heroic fighting posture. SHHHHH, originally still arguing with Pikachu, who would have thought that this guy would not play by the rules and suddenly hide her, Gardevoir immediately let out a dissatisfied cry. However, no one noticed that her gaze towards Pikachu is slightly gentler than before. Oh dear, Gardevoir, I'm sorry to trouble you this time. Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. Ash, of course, wouldn't favor one over the other. Seeing Pikachu already in battle, Ash could only offer Gardevoir a few words of comfort. Then, Ash quickly switched to trainer command mode. Thunderbolt? Good. We can't be weak either. Jolteon, use Thunderbolt. Hearing Ash's command to Pikachu, The noble young master was slightly taken aback. A Pikachu that can use Thunderbolt? That's rare. But so what? Pikachu is still Pikachu, it can't possibly defeat the powerful Jolteon. With Thunderbolt, the noble young master was full of confidence in his Jolteon. Ow! Upon receiving the noble young master's command, Jolteon immediately let out a loud howl. Immediately, a bolt of electricity, about 4 fingers thick, shot out from the lightning-covered body of the Pokémon, striking Pikachu squarely. Unlike Jolteon, Mu Chen remained completely calm. Pika, stretching slightly, Mu Chen looked at Jolteon with disdain. Like a bristling, frizzy yellow dog, what's the point of trading? Because of his overpowered lightning rod ability, Mu Chen completely ignored these electric-type moves. He was joking, Zapdos's thunder was nothing to him, let alone this bristling yellow dog's 100,000 volts. A drizzle. Of course, Mu Chen was also deliberately trying to show off. After all, Gardevoir was watching right next to Ash. How could Mu Chen easily let go of such an opportunity to display his masculine charm? What? Ineffective. The young nobleman, seeing Pikachu not even bother to dodge, let alone use 100,000 volts, thought the guy was scared out of his wits. Unexpectedly, he was the one who was truly foolish. This Pikachu was immune to electric-type moves? At this time, the concept of Pokémon abilities was still under research. Even ordinary scientists, let alone trainers, only had a superficial understanding of it. Therefore, when this young nobleman saw that Jolteon's powerful Thunderbolt didn't even produce a spark, he was completely dumbfounded. Pikachu, that's it? My turn. The performance was perfect, and Mu Chen certainly wouldn't miss the opportunity to continue showing off his power in front of Gardevoir. Taking advantage of the young nobleman's astonishment, Mu Chen unleashed the Thunderbolt he had secretly charged earlier. Sizzle, ow! The surge of electricity and Jolteon's scream came almost simultaneously. Chapter 218 The Fierce Battle at Night. Haha, Misty, the food here is so delicious. Having defeated the noble young master without any suspense, Ash and Misty naturally received VIP treatment. Ultimately, this world still values strength above all else. Ash had already obtained the Pokémon healing medicine he wanted. Although it couldn't completely heal Pidgeotto, alleviating its pain was enough. They were still 2 days' journey from Stone Town, the Pokémon Center, and Ash was no longer worried. Of course, the rewards for victory didn't stop there. As a reward for defeating the Eevee family young master, Ash also received a Thunderstone. Its function was to allow Pokémon to evolve. The Thunderstone could evolve Pikachu into Raichu. Of course, Mu Chen decisively refused this dreaded evolution. No way. Evolving into that clumsy Raichu, how would Misty hug him? How would he go and charm the ladies? With the system's help, Mu Chen's base stats weren't much lower than Raichu's. Evolution held absolutely no appeal for him. At this moment, Mu Chen's biggest concern was the system's reward. However, no matter how he called out, the system remained completely unresponsive. Pikachu, damn it, liar. Come out here. Where's the promised reward? Wasn't it supposed to help me deal with the arrogant, sassy Gardevoir? The mission is complete, why did you skip it? You see, Mu Chen had been incredibly excited about the reward. He thought the system would give him some amazing trick to defeat Gardevoir. But it turned out to be a complete waste of time. Of course, it wouldn't be a freebie. Mu Chen had a pretty good idea of what this so-called reward was. It was basically just forcing him into a battle, then showing off his masculine charm in front of that sassy Gardevoir. The question was, would it even work? Mu Chen had serious doubts. With these doubts, Mu Chen naturally decided to put it to the test. As Mu Chen waited, night finally fell again. What excited Mu Chen the most was that Ash had very effectively refused the Eevee family's invitation and chosen to continue his journey. This meant that Ash and Misty were still in the wilderness. Pikachu, honey, whatever you're thinking, let's talk, okay? Holding the Pokéball containing Gardevoir, Mu Chen was filled with trepidation. After tonight, there were only 2 days left. My dear Gardevoir, please give me some face. Shanna, finally. To Mu Chen's anticipation, the Pokéball slowly opened. Seeing Gardevoir emerge from the Pokéball, shimmering with white light, Mu Chen's eyes immediately welled up with tears. Damn! Finally, it's willing to come out? At this moment, Mu Chen was even more certain of his guess. This damn woman, it really does require me to display endless masculine prowess to conquer her. Pikachu, having confirmed his guess, Mu Chen was too lazy to continue arguing with Gardevoir. With high-speed movement activated, he launched a lightning bolt. Mu Chen didn't even give Gardevoir any time to react before shooting towards her. Shanna, Gardevoir's willingness to come out was indeed related to her experience during the day. However, this wasn't because Mu Chen had completely overwhelmed that irritable yellow dog in front of her. For Gardevoir, who possessed the M-type ability, that powerful electromagnetic wave was the key to unlocking her heart. What Gardevoir hadn't expected was that this yellow-skinned rat would be so aggressive tonight. It didn't even bother with a warning before trying to pounce. Although Gardevoir secretly liked Mu Chen's approach, as a female Pokémon, and a highly intelligent, human-like one at that, Gardevoir still possessed her own unique reserve. No coaxing, no talking, just a direct assault? What do you take me for? Pikachu, damn it. Although Mu Chen's attack was swift enough, Gardevoir's strength had greatly improved by now. Just as Mu Chen was about to pounce on her, Gardevoir activated instant transmission. Seeing Gardevoir running behind him, Mu Chen was furious. This isn't allowed either? What do you want? Serena, what angered Mu Chen even more was that this woman Gardevoir actually let out a provocative cry after dodging. Obviously, this was mockery. Pikachu, damn it. Are you trying to force me to fight seriously? Because Gardevoir returned to its Pokéball directly last time, Mu Chen couldn't miss this rare opportunity. Since the pounce was ineffective, let's have a real fight. Sizzle, sparks of electricity began to dance on Mu Chen's cheeks. Shanna, seeing Mu Chen's seriousness, Gardevoir was more pleased than surprised. Its eyes, gleaming with a flickering electric current, faintly emitted a dazzling light. Pikachu, get down on your knees. Having charged up, Mu Chen showed no mercy, unleashing a 100,000-volt attack on Gardevoir. Of course, since it was his woman, Mu Chen didn't go all out. This 100,000-volt attack was merely a weak current, barely 2 fingers thick. But something astonishing happened. According to his calculations, Gardevoir could easily dodge this 100,000-volt attack. He was even prepared to continue attacking. But Gardevoir didn't dodge his 100,000-volt attack at all. Shanna, to Mu Chen's astonishment, Gardevoir took the full force of the 100,000-volt attack. Immediately, Gardevoir activated teleport, appearing before Mu Chen in an instant. Pikachu, holy crap! What's going on? At this moment, Mu Chen was completely dumbfounded. Only after he was stupidly knocked down by Gardevoir, who had appeared before him, and even controlled by her psychic powers, did Mu Chen finally react. Damn it! I got overpowered. How could he tolerate this? As a grown man, to be defeated in his very first encounter with Gardevoir? Mu Chen absolutely could not tolerate this. No way. I'll fight back. Dynamax, activate. Gardevoir, you little wench, prepare to face the hurricane. Enraged, Mu Chen unleashed his boundless potential. A wave of electromagnetic energy surged forth, and with Dynamax activated, Mu Chen finally managed to knock Gardevoir to the ground. Sarna, hearing Gardevoir's painful cries, Mu Chen finally felt satisfied. Right, this is the proper script. Chapter 219 The Mayor's Request, The Unknown Enemy. Hurry up, Misty, the Pokémon Center is just ahead. After 2 days of travel, Ash and Misty finally arrived in Rock Town. Seeing the Pokémon Center right in front of them, Ash quickened his pace. Ash! Slow down. The Pokémon Center is right here, it can't run away. Misty was speechless at Ash's excited expression. He wasn't in a hurry while traveling, but now that they were there, he was anxious. Pikachu, stretching, Mu Chen shifted his position in Misty's arms. He was too damn tired. Ever since he'd defeated Gardevoir the night before last, Mu Chen had truly indulged in a life of leisure. For the past 2 days, he'd done practically nothing at night, spending his nights battling that Gardevoir. Now that they were in town, Mu Chen naturally wanted to rest and replenish his severely depleted energy. He even ignored the newly appeared chain of quests. After acquiring Gardevoir, Mu Chen received a new series of quests. He felt completely in control of this one. Beep beep, the 6th stage of the Road to Rejuvenation quest is complete, the 7th stage is now open. What's inside the egg? Quest requirements: before Ash's egg hatches, ensure its safety and build a bond with it. Quest reward: need you even ask? Once the egg hatches, that's your reward. Failure penalty, can't even hatch an egg properly? Quest cancelled. This was the system's series of quests. Mu Chen wasn't surprised at all. He even let out a smug laugh. HMPH. Trying to outsmart me? From the moment Ash obtained the egg, Mu Chen had already suspected it was related to his quests. Now, it seemed he was right. He did have some anticipation about what was inside, but that was all. Now that he had Melodic, Gardevoir, and Misty, who was increasingly ignoring his attempts to take advantage of him, Mu Chen felt his life was nearing completion. Therefore, he didn't really have much interest in this egg. Protecting it was fine, but cultivating a bond? Huh. He was joking, he was currently incredibly busy, he didn't have time for that. At most, he'd pull it out one night after a fierce battle and give it a few words of advice. Trainer, you can leave your Pokémon to me. They'll be back to normal in a day at most. However, I don't know if you trainers have the time. If possible, I hope you can go to the mayor. Our Stone Town is facing some difficulties and needs your help. Just as Mu Chen was comfortably shifting between various poses, Ash entered the Pokémon Center. Ash's original intention was to hand over his Melodic and Pidgeotto and then rest. However, unexpectedly, when he handed the Pokéball to Nurse Joy, he received a request from her. Haha, don't worry, Miss Nurse Joy, leave any difficulties to me. The mayor, right? Let's go right away. Ash's strengths are his persistence and enthusiasm. Having received Miss Nurse Joy's request, Ash naturally didn't hesitate for a moment. Ding ding, random mission activated. A gluttonous, sleepy fat guy? Or a terrifying behemoth? Mission requirements, protect Ash and Misty, and defeat that unknown terrifying being. Mission reward, unknown. Failure penalty, if you cannot defeat that angry behemoth, then you'll become a meat pie. Here we go again? Mu Chen, who was about to continue his deep sleep, was startled awake by the sudden system mission. Originally, according to his understanding, this request for help from Stone Town was at most a small mission to increase his base stats. But unexpectedly, this mission was unknown? A terrifying behemoth? A gluttonous, sleepy fat guy? Holy crap! What the hell? Mu Chen knew that since the system had given this kind of hint, the difficulty of this mission would definitely not be simple. However, Mu Chen remained wary of this unknown target. It seemed the last time he received a similar mission hint was from that Zapdos, right? Damn. Could it be another one? The thought made Mu Chen's head spin. He could at least tough out Zapdos because of its type. But this new one? Holy crap. Unfortunately, the system mission had already been issued, and Ash, that stubborn bastard, had stubbornly come to the mayor's house. Damn it, he'd deal with whatever came his way. He might as well fight it out. Although filled with fear, to protect Misty, for the system mission, and for that idiot Ash, Mu Chen activated self-hypnosis. For hell with it all, I'm a transmigrator, I'm the chosen one, I'm Pikachu. Young trainers, thank you for your help. It's like this, I don't know if you've noticed, but the river in our Stone Town is almost dried up. So I'd like to ask you two to help us investigate why the river is drying up. Because Stone Town is a small town, most of the local young trainers have gone traveling, so we can only ask for your help. Stone Town only has a small Pokémon Center, and it doesn't even have Officer Jenny, which means ordinary residents dare not easily venture into the wild. After all, going into the wild means facing Pokémon attacks at any time. And the source of this river happens to be deep in the wilderness. Mayor, don't worry, leave it to us. Hearing the mayor's request, Ash naturally didn't hesitate at all. Investigating the cause of the river drying up sounds like an easy task to anyone. But how could Ash know that what awaited them was not as easy as a leisurely trip? Ha ha ha. Thank you so much. Here's a map of our town's river, everything's in your hands now. Seeing Ash agree to his request without hesitation, the mayor was overjoyed. Pikachu Pikachu, damn it. That cunning old man. Watching the mayor's hearty laughter, Mu Chen cursed every woman in his family. This bastard clearly knew why the river had dried up, otherwise, why would he immediately produce a map after Ash agreed? This is ridiculous. Ash, get your act together. Chapter 220 Snoring. Ash, according to the map the mayor gave us, we still need to walk along the river for a whole day. Having accepted the mayor's task, Ash didn't even wait for Melodic and Pidgeotto to recover before leading Misty and Pikachu off into the wilderness. In his words, this was such a simple task, finishing it early would allow them to pick up Melodic and Pidgeotto and continue their journey. Another day? Is it that far? The distance to Rocktown wasn't too far, but Ash hesitated after hearing that it would take another day to reach the location marked by the mayor. In Ash's mind, a day would be enough for this mission and a round trip. He hadn't expected it to be such a long journey. What? Are you regretting it? We can still turn back now. If we rest for a day before going, I don't think the mayor will mind, right? Seeing Ash's hesitation, Misty's bright eyes lit up. If they could persuade this stubborn kid to give up and go back to town for a good night's sleep, that would be wonderful. Unfortunately, Zaya-Aksha still didn't understand Zaya-Ozzy. If she hadn't said that, Zaya-Ozzy might have actually chosen to go back and rest for a day. After all, the continuous travel and battles had left him physically and mentally exhausted. However, after being provoked by Zaya-Aksha, Zaya-Ozzy's stubbornness resurfaced. Go back? No. Of course not. We promised the mayor, and everyday Stone Town is without water, everyone suffers. Come on, Zaya-Aksha, let's hurry. We should reach the source the mayor marked by tomorrow morning. His stubbornness kicked in, his sense of justice overflowing, and Zaya-Ozzy's fatigue vanished instantly. Oh my, you really are. Looking at the now energetic Zaya-Ozzy, Zaya-Aksha was completely impressed. Pikachu, damn it. Why is your head so stubborn? At this moment, the most disappointed person was undoubtedly Mu Chen. When he heard Zaya-Aksha's advice, his heart was filled with hope. If he could rest for a day, not only would his condition greatly improve, but his melodic and Pidgeotto could also rejoin the battle. Facing that unknown being, Mu Chen dared not be careless in the slightest. Unfortunately, Zio-Zhi was too stubborn, and Mu Chen's hopes were dashed once again. Zio-Zhi, it's getting dark, let's rest. Wouldn't it be better to continue our journey tomorrow? The moon was already high in the sky, but because he was eager to continue, Zio-Zhi still didn't choose to rest. Fine, you girls are such a hassle. If I had known, I would have let you stay in Rocktown, and I would have gone with Pikachu. He had originally planned to travel a little further, but when he heard the hint of anger in Zaya-Aksha's words, he could only reluctantly compromise. Pikachu, who the hell is going with you? If Zaya-Aksha doesn't go, I won't go either. Hearing Zio-Zhi's complaints, Mu Chen was furious. Damn it, the mission is for me to protect you and Zio-Xia. If you two are separated, I'll definitely protect Zio-Xia, okay? Of course, this was just a rant. Hearing that he could rest, Mu Chen was naturally more than happy to accept. Because of the big battle tomorrow, Mu Chen naturally wouldn't bother Gardevoir in the middle of the night. That woman's fighting power was damn strong. Through these 2 days of constant sparring with Gardevoir, Mu Chen had completely grasped her personality. This woman was purely cold on the outside, but passionate on the inside. Since Mu Chen's first encounter with Gardevoir, this woman had constantly tried to take the initiative in the battles. And this, naturally, brought Mu Chen immense pressure. As a man, how could he let a little woman take the initiative? The first time he was forced into a position was an accident, but if it happened a second time, Mu Chen would be completely humiliated. This is precisely why Mu Chen absolutely will not summon Gardevoir tonight. He's already exhausted, another half-baked battle would kill him. Therefore, Mu Chen's plan for tonight is that egg that Ash has been carrying in his travel bag. To cultivate a bond, huh? Well, tonight I'll properly nurture it. In the middle of the night, a golden figure once again stealthily appeared before the already sleeping Ash. Pikachu, holy crap. What kind of egg is this? It's so heavy? Pokemon eggs aren't Pokeballs. Holding 1 or 2 Pokeballs is no problem for Mu Chen. But carrying this egg, almost the size of his body, Mu Chen truly understands what real pain is. This is truly a tragedy. Finally, with great effort, Mu Chen managed to carry the Pokemon egg a short distance away. Pikachu, how am I supposed to communicate with this thing? Egg, oh egg. I'm not asking you to come out and surprise me, just not scare me, that's enough. Mu Chen had absolutely no experience communicating with a Pokemon egg. Therefore, all he could do was keep telling the egg his hopes. I don't ask you to be as beautiful as an angel, I just ask you to have some semblance of humanity. In this world, there are just too many different kinds of Pokemon. How could Mu Chen not have concerns? Although he knew that with the system's existence, the Pokemon inside this egg must be female. But that kind of species. It was precisely for this reason that Mu Chen had selectively forgotten about this egg before. But Alice, the system wouldn't give him the chance to forget. Now that the 7th link of the chain quest has appeared, nothing else matters. Let's get to it. Snoring. 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 Having spent the entire night whiling away at a completely unresponsive egg, Mu Chen had originally planned to rest during the day. But before he'd gone far, a deafening snoring sound reached him. Zhi, did you hear that? Such loud snoring. Mu Chen wasn't the only one who heard the snoring. After hearing such intense snoring, Zhi's pretty face was filled with astonishment. This snoring couldn't possibly come from a human. I heard it. Such loud snoring, its owner must be a huge creature. Zhi, hurry up, the snoring is coming from the direction we're heading. Maybe we'll even see the owner of the snoring soon. Zhi showed great curiosity about the owner of the snoring. Pikachu, unlike Zhi, Mu Chen already had a pretty good idea of who the snoring belonged to. His mission target, that unknown, terrifying behemoth. Chapter 221 Snorlax. This is Snorlax. Following the voice, Ash and Misty quickly arrived at the location marked by the mayor. Looking at the enormous, blue and white sleeping giant, its body blocking the river, Ash and Misty immediately understood why the water source was dry. I didn't expect this to be Snorlax. It doesn't seem too dangerous. Misty, do you know how to wake it up? Looking at the huge, endearing-looking creature before him, Ash didn't feel any threat. Instead, he was worried about how to wake it. This guy is way too big. I've heard of Snorlax before. This big guy seems to do nothing but sleep and eat. If it's woken up while sleeping, it gets very irritable. Misty, after all, came from a family of gym leaders, and her experience was far superior to that of the novice Ash. After some thought, she gave an affirmative answer to Ash's question. Very aggressive? Aside from its large size, this thing doesn't seem like a threat at all. Snorlax's appearance is quite deceptive. Generally speaking, it looks like a giant, adorable creature, making it hard to associate with a ferocious beast. Never mind it. Pikachu, use electric shock to wake this big guy up and make him move to another place to sleep. After some thought, Ash, still finding no danger, gave the order. Of course, he's still quite compassionate towards Pokémon. Pikachu's Thunderbolt is terrifyingly powerful, so to prevent harm to Snorlax, Ash chose electric shock. Pikachu, what the hell? Are you kidding me? Electric shock? With that size, you want me to use electric shock? Looking at the nearly 3-meter-long Snorlax in front of him, Mu Chen had no idea that his outlandish electric shock would even cause it any reaction. This electric shock would probably just be a tickle, right? Besides, Ash might not know, but how could Mu Chen not? This thing is the unknown behemoth mentioned in the system notification. Now that it's sleeping soundly, completely unsuspecting, how could I possibly just use a single electric shock? No way, I'm going to unleash a thunderbolt, and it has to be charged. Mu Chen would never let such an opportunity to take advantage slip by. Zzz. Without a word, Mu Chen decisively entered charging mode. Pikachu? What are you doing? Don't hurt Snorlax. Just use electric shock. As Pikachu's trainer, Ash could easily see what his dog was doing. This was clearly charging up. Ash knew how terrifying a thunderbolt attack from a charged Pikachu was. Seeing it ignoring his command and charging, Ash panicked. After charging, even a single electric shock would probably be too much for Snorlax, right? However, Ash still didn't understand Mu Chen. Electric shock? HMPH. Watch my thunderbolt. Pikachu, giving Ash a disdainful look, Mu Chen let out a loud shout at the sleeping Snorlax. What good is a powerful opponent who's just sleeping like that? Ha ha ha. System, I'll accept this unknown reward. Next time, remember, there are more like this. Give me a whole stack. Zzz. With Mu Chen's encouragement, sparks of electricity rapidly gathered on his cheeks. In an instant, a fist-thick bolt of electricity shot towards the sleeping Snorlax. Pikachu. No, this time, Ash was terrified. What was Pikachu doing? Did the Snorlax have a grudge against it? Why was it using such a desperate attack right from the start? Boom. However, Ash's cry was clearly no match for the speed of the electricity. As soon as Ash finished speaking, Thunderbolt had already struck Snorlax's large body. Under Ash's horrified and confused gaze, Misty's puzzled look, and Mu Chen's expectant gaze, the Snorlax, struck by Thunderbolt, finally moved. It slowly raised its right hand and placed it on its belly where the thunderbolt had struck. Then, it revealed its sharp claws, gleaming with a chilling light, and began scratching its belly. After a few scratches, Snorlax's right hand returned to its original position, and a loud snoring sound once again echoed from its mouth. Pikachu, holy crap! Are you kidding me? Is this some kind of exaggeration? He had been full of anticipation, hoping one thunderbolt would knock this thing out. But when Mu Chen saw Snorlax's reaction, he was utterly devastated. Holy crap! Is this even a human's weapon? My thunderbolt charge! Even Zapdos would cry out after taking one, right? Are you treating it like a mosquito? Just scratch it and it's done. Although Snorlax was still unconscious, Mu Chen suddenly felt immense pressure. This is simply not something I can handle. What the hell is this? Mu Chen knew that Snorlax could ignore his charge thunderbolt, so it must possess an incredibly powerful special defense, rendering his thunderbolt completely ineffective. Oh dear, what should we do? Even Pikachu's thunderbolt can't wake this big guy up. Misty, do you have any ideas? Initially terrified, I was now filled with worry after seeing the result. Thunderbolt couldn't wake it? Then the electric shock was even more useless. I think we should go back first. It's better if this guy doesn't wake up, but if it does, unlike who was determined to wake Snorlax, Misty also felt a sense of fear. The mayor even marked this location on the map, which means he's already investigated it. Is it because he's helpless against this Snorlax that he sought help from passing trainers? Snorlax, if woken while it's sleeping, can transform into a ferocious beast. When Misty saw that Pikachu's thunderbolt had no effect, she realized this thing was truly terrifying. Go back? No way, we already promised the mayor. And because of this giant, the residents of Rocktown have no water. Ash felt Misty's worries too. But by his nature, Ash wasn't one to give up easily. Chapter 222 Ash's Flash of Inspiration. Pikachu, I have an idea. You know, this guy is currently fast asleep. If I capture it directly with a Pokeball, will it work? Having tried everything, Ash and Zyoksha couldn't wake the sleeping chubby guy. Just when they were at their wits' end, a flash of inspiration suddenly appeared in Ash's not-so-developed brain. This thing, it's a Pokemon, right? Since it's a Pokemon, does that mean it can be captured with a Pokeball? If they captured it, wouldn't the river be cleared immediately? They could even avoid an unnecessary battle. This sudden inspiration filled Ash's eyes with eager anticipation. Huh? I didn't expect you to think of such a method. Maybe it really will work. Hearing Ash say this, Zyoksha's bright eyes also shone brightly. Ash had actually figured it out. Capturing this big guy would be the best thing ever. Pikachu. Similarly, Misty wasn't the only one startled by Ash's sudden idea. Hearing Ash's words, Mu Chen nodded repeatedly in agreement. This Pokemon's special defense was so high that Mu Chen was filled with despair. If he could catch it, it would naturally avoid a lot of trouble. Although Mu Chen didn't really want Ash to catch any Pokemon unrelated to the young lady, this Pokemon was no big deal. He could always find a way to trick Ash into giving it to Professor Oak. Ha ha ha. You all agree? That's great. Go, Pokeball, catch Snorlax. Rarely did his suggestion receive unanimous approval, and Ash immediately became excited. Without the slightest hesitation, Ash took out a Pokeball and threw it at the sleeping Snorlax. Bang! A crisp sound rang out. Bearing Ash's hopes, the Pokeball lived up to expectations. The moment it touched Snorlax's body, a dazzling light emanated from within. Immediately, the sleeping Snorlax shrank instantly, and without any resistance, the large creature was captured into the Pokeball. Splash! Splash! As the Snorlax blocking the river disappeared, the sound of flowing water instantly filled the air. Clearly, this large creature was the problem. Haha! Great! Snorlax, I successfully captured you. Seeing Snorlax enter the Pokeball, Ash excitedly shouted his capture command. But before Ash could even finish the command, the previously quiet Pokeball suddenly began to shake violently. Clearly, the large creature captured in the Pokeball had woken up. Pikachu! Pikachu, holy crap! Pokeball! Give it some effort! Seeing the violently shaking Pokeball, Mu Chen immediately tense up. The reason for the shaking was obvious. Snorlax was struggling. Mu Chen knew that if this thing broke free from the Pokeball's restraints, A fierce battle would be inevitable. Against other opponents, Mu Chen wouldn't be afraid. But this Snorlax, what kind of weak special defense is this? I can't even touch it. After that previous Thunderbolt attack, Mu Chen had already given up hope on this Snorlax. Thunderbolt was just a tickle to it, what could he possibly do? However, what Mu Chen didn't know was that Snorlax's sleep wasn't ordinary sleep. Its sleep was practically a skill. As long as it fell asleep, any injury, no matter how severe, would heal rapidly. This was why the thing hadn't reacted at all after Mu Chen's Thunderbolt attack. Crack, just as Ash, Misty, and Mu Chen were watching expectantly, the Pokeball finally stopped shaking. But the Pokeball now stopped shaking, cracked. Immediately, a deafening roar erupted from the cracked Pokeball. It was Snorlax, who had been captured. Sound asleep, suddenly and inexplicably trapped in this bizarre contraption, Snorlax was furious. Looking at the two people and the yellow-skinned mouse before it, Snorlax narrowed its already small eyes, a bloodthirsty glint flashing within them. Just as Misty had said, Snorlax was mostly harmless. But if anyone dared disturb its sleep, Snorlax would transform into a raging beast, tearing its enemy apart without hesitation. Damn it! Failed. Pikachu, prepare for battle. Ash was filled with frustration at the failed capture attempt. Such a good opportunity to capture it had been wasted. Although the water supply problem in Stone Town had been resolved thanks to Snorlax's awakening, Ash knew that a battle was inevitable given the enraged Snorlax before him. Pikachu, did you even need to tell me? I was already prepared. Although Mu Chen had also been looking forward to catching Snorlax, failure was failure, and he had anticipated this situation. This system, it seemed, had never given Mu Chen any openings. Ash, Pikachu, I'll help you. Go forth, Sea of Jewels Sidnook. Why are you out again? Snorlax wasn't some common Pokémon. Its power was second only to the legendary Zapdos. Facing this enraged beast, Misty certainly wouldn't let Pikachu fight alone. However, because of Sidnook's presence, Misty found Starmie getting further and further away. Cool, right, Sidnook, of course, was completely unaware of Misty's troubles. Facing the nearly 3-meter-tall, ferocious beast before him, Sidnook displayed an even stronger fighting spirit than Mu Chen. Clearly, the word fear was completely foreign to this creature. Kamen, already raging with fury, Snorlax's anger intensified when it saw these two humans not only failing to flee but also summoning Pokémon to fight it. Thump, thump, thump. In its rage, Snorlax frantically pounded its belly, the booming sounds emanating from its round belly. This was one of Snorlax's signature moves, belly drum. While this move didn't have much offensive power, it greatly enhanced Snorlax's attack capabilities. It could be considered a unique power-up move for Snorlax. Chapter 223 The Agile Fat Man. Pikachu, attack. Use Thunderbolt. Seeing Snorlax assume an attack stance, Ash immediately gave the command to Pikachu. Although the previous Thunderbolt charge hadn't worked, Pikachu seemed to have no other good way to deal with this terrifying behemoth besides Thunderbolt. Pika, Thunderbolt? Forget it, what the hell is that useful? Hearing Ash's command, Mu Chen instinctively refused. If Thunderbolt charge couldn't even electrify it, what was the point of going up with a normal attack? Facing this terrifying behemoth, Mu Chen had already prepared for guerrilla warfare. Looking at its size, it couldn't possibly be fast, right? I'll fight a war of attrition if I can't beat it head-on, I'll wear it down. That was Mu Chen's plan. But before Mu Chen could make a move, Sidnook made the first move. Cool, right, facing Snorlax patting its belly, Sidnook displayed unparalleled stubbornness. Without waiting for Misty's command, a pink light beam shot from its head, striking Snorlax head-on. However, Sidnook's psychic attack, upon hitting Snorlax's body, was like a stone thrown into the sea, creating not a ripple. Crack, of course, it wasn't that the psychic attack had no effect at all. Hit by Sidnook's psychic move, Snorlax's anger burned even more fiercely. With a roar, it unleashed its massive, fanning paws, striking Sidnook with devastating force. Sidnook, watch out! Seeing Snorlax's power, Misty's exclamation rang out. Although Sidnook was unreliable, and although it was always clumsy, it was still Misty's Pokémon. In this crisis, how could Zioaksha not worry about this guy's safety? Cool, right. However, Sidnook's reaction shocked Zioaksha, shocked Mu Chen, and even shocked Ash. Facing the oncoming Snorlax, this guy fearlessly raised his paw and launched a tickling attack at Snorlax. Bang! Cool, right? Unfortunately, while courage was commendable, strength was lacking. Psyduck's short arm didn't even reach Snorlax before being slapped far away. Watching Psyduck huddle together, its face contorted in pain, Mu Chen was dumbfounded. Pikachu, damn. A true warrior. Where did you get the courage? That slap was almost as big as your body, and you actually wanted to counter it? At this moment, Mu Chen realized he had misunderstood Ash. Compared to Psyduck, Ash was completely unrelated to the word stubborn, okay? Crack, Snorlax's anger hadn't subsided much after slapping Psyduck away. It roared again and charged at Pikachu, who stood frozen to the side. Pikachu. Watch out for Snorlax's attack. Use Thunderbolt to retaliate. With Psyduck demonstrating, Ash naturally wouldn't let Pikachu engage Snorlax in a direct confrontation. However, the creature still couldn't stop thinking about Thunderbolt. Pika, watching out for attacks was fine. Thunderbolt? Hell, go use Thunderbolt yourself. Goodbye. Ignoring Ash's command, Mu Chen darted forward. High-speed movement activated, and with a flash of lightning, he thought, I don't believe you're faster than me. Originally determined to engage in a war of attrition with Snorlax, Mu Chen's resolve only strengthened after Psyduck tested Snorlax's terrifying attack power with its bare hands. After all, Snorlax hadn't used any special moves to swat Psyduck away. Mu Chen had no intention of even trying to swat Psyduck like that with just physical strength. Clang, missing its attack, Snorlax was enraged. With a roar, it leaped into the air, launching a physical attack at Pikachu. This was a normal type move, Body Slam. Pika, holy crap. Was it really that brutal? Seeing Snorlax, despite its enormous size, still able to jump, Mu Chen was startled. This fat body, if I got crushed by it, what would happen to me? Being knocked down by Gardevoir would only cause Mu Chen a little psychological harm at most. But being knocked down by that thing. Just thinking about that terrifying scene made Mu Chen run even faster. Boom, a loud bang came from behind Mu Chen. The ground even trembled under Snorlax's pounce. Looking at the huge crater, Mu Chen dared not stop for a second. Pikachu, fight back. Running away like this isn't going to work. Seeing Pikachu constantly dodging Snorlax's attacks, Ash became anxious. How could he defeat his opponent if he kept running away? And if he kept running, accidents were bound to happen. Just look at Psyduck's miserable state if he got hit by Snorlax. Pikachu, do you need me to tell you? I know I have to fight back. But the problem is, I can't find an opportunity. How could Mu Chen not understand Ash's warning? Unfortunately, while Snorlax wasn't particularly agile, all its movements were wide and powerful, leaving Mu Chen with no chance to retaliate. Clang. Pikachu deftly dodged its continuous attacks, driving Snorlax into a frenzy. It clenched its fists, a faint glow of fire emanating from them, and unleashed a barrage of mindless punches at the still-running Pikachu. Boom. Although most of its attacks missed, the sound effects were absolutely perfect. Everything that stood in Snorlax's way, rocks, trees, was blasted away and shattered by its fire-infused punches. Pikachu. Just then, Pikachu, who had been fleeing ahead, suddenly changed direction and charged fiercely at Snorlax. This was because Mu Chen had spotted an opportunity. Although this thing's flurry of punches caused considerable damage, it also kicked up clouds of dust. Taking advantage of the dust and Snorlax's blurred vision, Mu Chen finally found the perfect opportunity to counterattack. HMPH, Snorlax? Take this Iron Tail. With special attack ineffective, Mu Chen's only tactical option against this thing was to resort to melee combat. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 224 Snorlax's Trick. Crack. For the first time, a cry of pain escaped Snorlax's gaping maw. Its ferocious attack had finally given Mu Chen a chance, albeit not a perfect opportunity. Normally, Mu Chen's Iron Tail move would only be considered average. However, it all depended on where the Iron Tail struck. If it hit Snorlax's body, it would be nothing more than a tickle. But Mu Chen's Iron Tail struck Snorlax's narrowed eye. Although Snorlax's eye was just a slit, it was still a vulnerable part of its body. How could Snorlax not roar in pain after being struck so hard by Mu Chen? Good job. Pikachu, attack its other eye. Ash, watching the battle, also noticed Pikachu's tactic. Seeing that one of Snorlax's eyes was injured, he immediately saw hope. If he could injure Snorlax's other eye as well, wouldn't it mean Snorlax would temporarily lose its sight? If Snorlax couldn't see the enemy's location, defeating it would be much easier. Pikachu, easier said than done. How could Mu Chen not understand what Ash was saying? This was exactly his tactical intention. However, the injured Snorlax was now even more frenzied. It seemed to have gone mad, constantly waving its massive arms, and Mu Chen truly lacked the courage and opportunity to charge in. If he dared to charge, he'd be slapped across the face, no other possibility. Kamen, possessing the strength to shake a legendary Pokémon, yet unable to attack its opponent, and even injuring its own eyes, Snorlax had completely entered a berserk state. It roared incessantly, its arms flailing wildly, its massive feet stomping furiously on the ground. Pikachu, damn it. Go crazy. If you don't go crazy, how will I have a chance? Seeing Snorlax in this state, Mu Chen's eyes gleamed with excitement. As the saying goes, to destroy someone, you must first drive them mad. If Snorlax remained perfectly calm, Mu Chen would have no chance against it. But a beast is still a beast. Even Pokémon mostly act on instinct. And Snorlax at this moment was driven by instinct. Injured in the eye, consumed by rage, Snorlax had completely lost its reason, relentlessly attacking everything in its path, wanting to crush this wretched yellow rat. However, its opponent was not a beast driven by instinct. Facing Snorlax in this state, Mu Chen kept his distance, silently watching the creature's madness, waiting for its exhaustion. Ultimately, Snorlax was just a powerful Pokémon, still somewhat inferior to those legendary beings. Finally, after relentless attacks, Snorlax began to pant heavily. Kamen, seeing the exhausted Snorlax, Mu Chen knew his chance had come. HMPH. What a piece of trash. It made me worry for nothing. This mission is a complete freebie. Before fighting Snorlax, Mu Chen was indeed filled with worry. After all, the terror of Zapdos was still fresh in his mind. Now, according to the mission prompt given by the system, Snorlax was almost the same as Zapdos. How could Mu Chen not be wary? But after actually fighting this thing, Mu Chen realized that it was a tank with super strong destructive power. So what if your defense is awesome? So what if your attack power is terrifying? You're so slow, I'm safe as hell when I run. Now, this stupid thing is out of stamina, it's time for me to counterattack. Pika, with a cheerful cry, Mu Chen's short legs pushed off with force, and he delivered a quick attack to Snorlax. HMPH, Snorlax? I'll take your other eye too. Mu Chen's target was naturally Snorlax's other intact eye. If he could successfully injure this creature's other eye, Mu Chen could easily toy with this fool and win without taking any damage. However, just as Mu Chen excitedly launched his charge, he didn't notice the cold smile on Snorlax's lips. Beasts and Pokémon alike possess their own intelligence. Kamen, just as Mu Chen charged towards Snorlax, preparing to flash his tail, Snorlax suddenly let out a deafening roar. A hint of excitement lingered in its roar. This creature was genuinely injured and berserk. However, its exhaustion was feigned. Snorlax knew that relying on its own speed, it would be difficult to catch this agile Pikachu. Therefore, this guy deliberately created an opening to lure Pikachu over. Because of his underestimation of Snorlax, Mu Chen really didn't expect this seemingly clumsy creature to be so cunning. Therefore, Mu Chen falling for the trap wasn't surprising. Pikachu, holy crap. A trap. Charging in front of Snorlax, seeing the giant hand flashing towards him, how could Mu Chen not realize he'd been tricked? In a flash, without hesitation, Mu Chen used quick attack again while it was still active. However, this time the direction was opposite. Whoosh, Snorlax's giant hand created a gust of wind. Unfortunately, despite its imposing momentum and formidable power, it failed to strike its target. Although Mu Chen had fallen for the trap, his reaction was still incredibly swift. Relying on quick attack's dash, he managed to escape Snorlax's attack range at the last second. Clang, the meticulously designed trap failed to catch its prey, and Snorlax instantly went berserk. This time, its berserk state was real, it had lost its mind. The berserk Snorlax curled its body into a ball, eventually forming a huge sphere, and rolled towards Mu Chen's direction. Rumble. Under Snorlax's terrifying weight, its rolling seemed to make the earth tremble. Pikachu, damn, what kind of trick is this now? Having narrowly escaped Snorlax's trap, Mu Chen hadn't even had a chance to catch his breath before seeing this ball of flesh charging towards him, leaving him completely stunned. Chapter 225. Don't you like rolling around? Pikachu. Watch out for Snorlax's roll-out attack. This move gets stronger the further it rolls. The giant ball of flesh kept rolling. In fact, its rolling speed was increasing. Seeing this, Ash immediately checked his Pokédex. The answer he got was the warning he gave Pikachu. Pika Pika, damn. Such a cheating move? Hearing Ash's warning, Mu Chen ran even faster. This thing, not only does it get faster while rolling, but its power also increases? With my small frame, if it gets hit by it, I'll be smashed to pieces. Boom, violent impacts rang out. Clearly, Snorlax, who used rollout, also realized the threat this move posed to Pikachu. After all, with its size, when it rolls, it's more terrifying than a steamroller. Pika Pika, no. I need to think of something. Mu Chen knew that if this continued, with a ball of flesh increasing in speed, he would eventually be caught. By then, it would be too late. Therefore, Mu Chen's only option was to take advantage of the fact that Snorlax's rolling speed hadn't reached its maximum and find a way to stop it from rolling. Pikachu. Get up in a tree. Get up in a tree. Then use Thunderbolt to attack it. Mu Chen was thinking of a solution, and Ash was also thinking of a solution. This rolling attack was so terrifying that Ash was naturally very anxious. Unfortunately, his brain capacity was limited. The only solution he could think of was to have Pikachu jump into a tree to counterattack. However, Ash had overlooked how many trees Snorlax had destroyed as it rolled down. Finding a tree that could withstand Snorlax's rolling attack was almost as difficult as directly knocking it down with Thunderbolt. But Ash's command wasn't entirely useless to Mu Chen. Pikachu, he had an idea. Hearing Ash's command, Mu Chen scoffed at it, but it also sparked his inspiration. Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt wouldn't work. But Mu Chen knew more than just Thunderbolt among his electric-type moves. There was a move that ignored the opponent's special defense. That was Thunder Wave. You think you can roll? I'll just use Thunder Wave on you. Let's see how you roll after you're paralyzed. Thinking it, he acted immediately. Without hesitation, Mu Chen leaped onto a large tree in front of him. Although this thing couldn't withstand Snorlax's attack, it would at least give Mu Chen a sliver of time to counterattack. Boom, sizzle, the sound of the impact and the sound of Mu Chen's Thunder Wave came almost simultaneously. The tree Mu Chen landed on was naturally smashed to pieces. But at the same time, Snorlax, hit by the Thunder Wave, finally stopped its rolling. Kamen, the rollout move was stopped, and Snorlax looked completely bewildered, even its stance seemed unsteady. Clearly, the constant rolling had made it dizzy. But that wasn't enough. Pikachu, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity had presented itself. How could Mu Chen possibly miss it? With a loud cry, Mu Chen activated Quick Attack, using its speed to decisively teleport in front of the dazed Snorlax. HMPH. You like rolling, don't you? Well, I'll let you roll to your heart's content. Mu Chen stretched out his short arms, firmly grabbing Snorlax's large feet. Then, Snorlax rolled again. This was the fighting-type move Mu Chen had mastered, Hell Rollout. Kamen, a passive roll and an active roll are definitely different experiences. Already dizzy, it suddenly started rolling around, and a terrified roar came from Snorlax's mouth. However, Mu Chen didn't care about any of that. He just held Snorlax tightly, constantly activating his moves. Come on. Let's hurt each other. You like rolling, huh? Well, I'll let you roll to your heart's content today. Rumble, another violent impact rang out. However, this time, the impact was accompanied by Snorlax's miserable cry. Ha ha ha. That's great, Pikachu. Well done, we won. When the rolling stopped, Snorlax was lying on the ground, seeing stars. Obviously, this thing had been completely rendered incapable of fighting by rolling around. Seeing Pikachu successfully defeat Snorlax, Ash was naturally extremely excited. As he celebrated, he threw a Pokéball at Snorlax. How could Ash not want to catch such a powerful Pokémon? Pikachu, holy crap. No way. Previously, due to fear and Snorlax's invincible special defense, Mu Chen had agreed with Ash's decision to capture it. However, now, thinking about the potential chain of events that might be triggered after it was captured, Mu Chen was devastated. Was this forcing him to pull a heavy load with a small horse? Clang, but the terrifying thing for Mu Chen still didn't happen. Although Snorlax was stunned, it was definitely not so easy to capture. Ash's Pokeball ended in failure again. In fact, because of this Pokeball, Snorlax actually stood up again, wobbling. Pikachu! Pikachu, damn it! What a terrible teammate! Seeing Snorlax wake up, Mu Chen immediately thought of a million curses. However, before Mu Chen could do anything, the standing Snorlax collapsed. Snoring. Snoring, then, a muffled snoring sound came again. Pikachu? What's going on? Looking at the Snorlax sleeping soundly in front of him, Mu Chen was full of questions. I know, Snorlax isn't sleeping normally, it's using the sleep move to recover its stamina. Just as Mu Chen was wondering, Xiaoxia's voice came over, which was considered an explanation for him. Oh dear, why is this guy asleep again? Doesn't that mean that when it wakes up, its stamina will be fully restored? I was thinking of catching this guy, what a pity. Hearing the notification, Xiaoxia was also full of disappointment. Obviously, this guy was using the sleep move to recover its stamina. Xiaoxia, let's go back. Anyway, the water source in Rock Town has been dredged. Looking at the sleeping Snorlax and Xiaoxia's regretful expression, Xiaoxia felt helpless. This thing seems to be really difficult to catch. Pikachu, an angel. Hearing Xiaoxia's suggestion, Mu Chen nodded repeatedly. Damn it, I almost died from exhaustion after just one battle. I'm not going to fight a second round no matter what. Alright, let's go back and report to the mayor. What a pity. Ash knew that in his current state, he had no chance of subduing this guy. Helpless, Ash had no choice but to give up. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all, see you in the next video.